What is up, guys? I hope everybody can hear me and is having as good of a Friday night as I am. What a week. Good to see everybody. Let's see who we've got in here. We've got Crispy Critter. What is up, Crispy Critter? We've got Gone Awry. We've got Robert Douglas. We've got Sharp Guy, channel member. What is up, brother? Brand New American channel member. We've got our friend Coperlight Steve, who's a channel member, who will have a tracking number tomorrow with everyone else who didn't go out the last 2 weeks. We've got Matisfaction channel member. We've got Robert Douglas. We have got Blade Ogre, man, the myth, the legend. We have got my sweet mate, Dopey. What is up? He's out, though. I was late. We got G-Ball Vision, my man. I will send you a link, brother. I will send you one in just a second. I think we're going to have Lefty EDC. Oh, that was a joke, my brother. I appreciate it. By the way, guys, if you haven't gone over and grabbed a Pony Stout yet, you should do so. And I'm going to reach into my pocket and show you what I was carrying today. The Mash V2. Awesome knife that exceeds my expectations. And then in my right pocket, it's not a Jack Wolf, but it is a Rough Rider Copperhead. A little kind of a pen knife is what it reminds me of. But it's a good little knife, really sharp. G-Ball, give me a second and I'll get my phone and get you hooked up. But yeah, Gracian, what is up, brother? Good to see you, man. Good to see everybody. I hope y'all had a good week. I hope it was much better than mine, but we might have our brother Jason Grant stop by later on tonight. I don't know, probably about 10 or so, and show off what he's been doing. I hadn't talked to him in a while. Z-Man, what's up? Demonog, channel member, welcome, brother. But so yeah, I'm just looking forward to kind of hanging out. I am gonna get I've committed myself to come up with kind of a structure for Friday Night Flicks. Not really a structure, but just kind of like, you know, knife news, maybe talk about, you know, what everybody's been carrying, which we're getting ready to do in just a second. And since I just showed you guys what I was carrying today, even though I'm playing with my Liangma Field Duty EDC, which, believe it or not, in my collection, if I could only have one to live with and survive with, I still think this is my number one knife. The Liangma Field Duty EDC. It is so good. It's so slicey. It's got such a good sound. Joe Isabella, what is up? Welcome, channel member. Hey man, what is up? So yeah, I just really like this, even though I know he's gone through some different times. But I've got a bunch of knives around me, and I've gotten some stuff in. The only modern stuff I've gotten in is my Mash V2, what I think you guys have seen. Cheeto Bandito, channel member. And the Pony Stout will probably be here maybe tomorrow. And I thought I had the last of my slip joints. One was that little Copperhead that's a Rough Rider Reserve. The other one that came in was this one right here. And this is a cool knife, guys. This is the Rough Rider Reserve. This one was like $40, but it's called their Easy Pull. And it's got a really sweet little Warncliffe blade. D2. Again, nothing fancy, but it does have nice micarta handles. It is slicey. The Easy Pull is pretty cool. You know, it's different. I don't think that's a real pattern, but I don't know. Sweet knife. And then at my brother G-Ball, who I will forget to send a link if I don't hurry up, at his request, not a request, at his suggestion, I went to Amazon. Forrest, what is up, brother? His request. This is the Brother Knives, which is an Amazon brand. There's 1508. That's their 1508 pattern. They've got another pattern that I've got that I'll show you. They're 1510. But this is a knife that's carbon fiber. Guys, it's done very well a split joint that's done very, very well. It's the Blade Steel's VG10. The only thing that's somewhat wonky is the half stop's not all the way at a half, but if you don't have OCD, that won't bother you. But it is a very, very sweet little knife, and it was 35 bucks. The other one, this brother that I think I've shown you guys, is this one right here. Also VG10, more of a spear point, drop point type blade with a micarta handle. It's also about 35. Maybe this one's 35 and this one was 37. But one way or another, they're both really cool slip joints. And what I found, and it goes back to everything I preach against, I've been able to grab a bunch of slip joints for what I consider a little poquito money, because they are to find out if you're going to use them or if it's something that you pocket stuff. What is up, Tactical Terry? What is up, channel member? So, if you're Mimo, if you're trying to figure out if you would carry one or if it's something that you never thought you'd carry and they make you cringe, I get it. I was that guy. I felt the exact same way. I was not going to have a slip joint. I thought nothing about slip joints. Didn't want anything to do with slip joints. I teased people like Shane does that have slip joints. And then I was convinced by my brother Lefty EBC, and he probably doesn't know it because he's a pretty big influencer in what I've experienced. But I went out when these went on sale for 125 bucks and got an Ohio River Jack. And I immediately realized that it was kind of cool because I sat there and played with it for a while. And keep in mind, I wasn't a fidget spinner guy, but I liked the fidget sliders. So this to me was kind of like a fidget slider. Plus, when I had it in my pocket in my slip, I used it. And when I bought this knife, the reason I bought the sheep's foot is the picture made it look like a hollow grind. So when I realized it wasn't a hollow grind, which was about, I don't know, 5 minutes after I opened it, I went online and bought my second slip joint, which is the QSP Hedgehog. And this knife starts out around 51 bucks in micarta. I think this is the carbon fiber. It was like 81 bucks. It's got a 14C blade, got a really cool hollow grind, super slicey. And then I was kind of hooked, right? I had now two slip joints. And then Lefty EDC sold me a slip that I needed because I wanted an extra slip for this knife. We weren't sure if it was going to fit this knife. And so when he did so, he hooked me up with an extra slip, a Troy Northwood leather slip, which is awesome, by the way. But it left me in a dilemma. I had two slips, I had two slips in one knife because I already had the traditional pocket knife slips. That's what it was. So I had three slips and two knives. So forced me to buy another slip joint, which I think was my first Rough Rider Reserve. This Patriarch, I think is what it's called. Pretty cool slip joint. But anyway, I've gotten hooked on it. So I think I'm done, except for Jack Wolf's, and I know that that's just a matter of minutes. And G-Ball, if you're in there, I'm coming for you, brother. But really, really enjoyed my slip joints. So the only thing that they've done is they've confused my EDC fixed blade carry just a little bit. Because now I'm carrying or finding myself carrying three knives. But the only way I can do so comfortably is to not do the pocket dropper anymore because in my left pocket I've got the slip joint. I have to use a little belt carrier. So at work, it's usually just a slip joint and my modern folder. Whoops. Hold on, guys. I apologize. I apologize for the delay. Just copying something real quick. But what I was saying is, Jason's going to join us after a while, and he's going to show us some cool stuff he's been working on in the lab. And our brother, Dark Gravity, will be here joining us. I think G Bizzle's going to stop by. Um, and then our friend Scotch and Things will probably stop by too. And if Shane is in here, I'm going to send him the lizard emoji, but he's not here. And then I'm going to show my solidarity. But what did everybody carry today on this lovely Friday? Mike Reese, channel member, what is up? Mike Jernak, channel member, good to see you, my friend. So I showed you guys what I carried, and I know you guys were sporting something, and I'll do my best not to miss anybody. What I'll do is I'll minimize the YouTube chat, and I'll just go to the StreamYard chat. Dang Ross, what's up, brother? So Pretty Fly was carrying the Spyderco PM2 and the Devo Mash V2. Awesome, I carried my Devo Mash V2. Hey Man was carrying the 8015 and the Deca, which is an awesome combo. Mike Reese carried the 2NV4 and the Rumet WD107. I need to check out what that is. Ooh, Manufacturing got fancy with the gravity knife. I think the RSK and a Paragon is what he's telling me. Tactical Terry carried the Shaman half the day and the Formac Scout the rest of the day. He went out in the woods, but he went somewhere cool. That is awesome, man. And then Michael Morgan, Nemo, carried the Miguron Bologna. Miguron is on top of their game. I think they're the number one budget manufacturer right now, and I know that'll be debated because I have not experienced the Quibit or Qubit that looks really cool. And a Pena Bronco from Michael Morgan. Awesome. Awesome. And then Gracian, which I'm probably pronouncing wrong, and when we meet in person, you can tell me how to say your name. Carried the Arcane Crypt and a Best Tech Fairchild. And then Dr. Drew Dude, how are you, my man? You carried the Devo Stout, and he's waiting on a Pony Stout like I am. I'm waiting on a Pony Stout. And then Demonaut 13 carried the Pretheon with inlays, the Kunwu Tau Compact, and the Baton 3 torch. Pizza Operator carried the Kaiser Towser K and L Max and Fat Carbon and the Devo Mash V2. Devo Mash V2, guys. I'm telling you, it's where it's at. And Z-Man carried the QSP Hedgehog, the MKM Micra, and the Devo Stout. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I've not tried the Devo. I've handled the Devo Stout at Blade Show, but I haven't carried it. It's an awesome knife. I know it is. The Micra, I love it. I've got the Micra 1 and the Micra 2 and the Hedgehog. You guys know I love that. Broke Ass Knives, how are you? I'm going to bring up Scotch and Things, and I'm going to keep reading your guys' carries. I'm going to bring him up so you can watch me read y'all too. And then Broke Ass carried the Tucson TS340, the Remet Peacock, and the Spartan for Midio. Nice. Very nice. 5-door carried the SNG and the Dragonfly. Mike Jernak, channel member, and 5 Doors channel member. Thanks for being here, guys, and thanks for supporting the channel. Mike Jernak carried the Claymore and the Hedgehog. I'm telling you guys, the Hedgehog is the bomb. It is a great, great little slip joint. Gone awry, the man, the myth, the legend, carried the Archbishop 2, as always. He loves it. Forrest SLR, channel member and creator of All Shit Cool, carried the XO and the Kubi Royal until he got home and unboxed an Olamic Swish. Very nice. Very nice. That's a knife that I played with at Blade Show last year, but I've never spent more than 5 minutes with anything by Olamic. And when I played with them, I played with probably 5, 6 of them because I was at their table and don't know the differences, but know that I liked them all. And really could appreciate the build on them. Pocket Stuff carried the Kubi Ruckus and the Kaiser Keybold 2. And then Robert Douglas carried the Cold Steel American Lawman. That is a great knife. It's probably my favorite overbuilt, take out, do whatever I need to with, and know I'm in good shape. How are you, Steve? What's up, Scotch for Things?
I am good. How you been?
Man, I was telling these guys, I felt this week I was like eaten by a wolf and shit off a cliff. It was just brutal, but it's over, so that's a good
Yeah.
thing. Dopey carried his fixed blade Elementum, very, very cool. The mini Elementum, the Tanto Elementum, the Azizi Azula, the Essie Azula, Azizi. What the fuck am I saying? Savivi Circulus Conspirator, Night Horse, Sheepdog XL, Artisan Arroyo, Boker Joker Sub, full size Kalishnikov, 6 Hanks, and an Olight. He was traveling heavy. Awesome, man. What is up, Gonzo? Good to see you, bro. Let's see. I think I've got, let's see, Urban Woodsman, EDC to paintbrush, and a few beers today. Cheers, brother. I look forward to meeting you too, man. I hope you and Doom safely arrive to the center, the convention center. Joe Isabella, channel member, carried the Frag Cormorant. I love the Cormorant. If I was going to do anything different, fragging it or getting the Frag titanium version would be that. The Mini Penguin, the Boker Scalpel Necker, and a Shamshear. Very, very nice. You guys are killing it. Yeah, Steve, mine won't come until Monday either, I think. It shipped, though, when I ordered it on Thursday. Was it Thursday? Yeah, because I waited and tried to order it. Funny story, guys. I sat in another office in Birmingham. It got to be 11 o'clock Central. I went to the site. I was kept refreshing because I just wanted the blue micarta with the stonewash blade, the one that sold out first. And realized about 15 minutes into my quest when I started cussing Rocky Mountain or White Mountain Knives for being incompetent, I realized I was a day early. So then fast forward to Thursday, I'm in a meeting. I get out. It's like an hour and 15 minutes into the drop. But so I forgot about it, jumped in there, thought that there'd be no problem getting any configuration. And the only thing I couldn't get the stonewashed and blue, so I had to get the blue and the black, which is all good. Cool, G-Ball. We're here, brother. Mayor Salt, what is up, my man? He carried his large Sabenza and M4 Native. 5 lightweight. Very nice. Very, very nice. Oh, and Dopey forgot his 5th pocket carry, his Evengrow EF902. I don't even have to pull that up, but I'm sure that's probably just a huge Evengrow. Let's see if I'm carried up. Oh, Pete's carry operator carried his Hedgehog yesterday, but he'd like a slip for it, but carries it more. All right, so depending on which way you want to go and how much you want to spend, right? I've been playing the slip game quite a bit, trying to find slips that work. Where's the knife that was in this slip? All right, guys. I'm adjusting here. Interesting. Okay, so on Etsy, I picked up this little sheath. It's called an Epoch. This guy makes them here in the States. It's got the little skull on it. I learned about it from Pocket Metal. They make it in several sizes. This is the large size, which would be good for the Hedgehog. And I'll put the Hedgehog in there and show you. And then they make this little guy, which is good for like a Barlow. And these are about, I want to say, $20. You can go to traditional pocket knives, and I think this is their large slip. Really nice. It's open at the bottom, whether you like that or not. Doesn't bother me. And it's going to be about $20. You can go to our brother Joe and get a slip, a clip slip or a regular slip. And you're probably going to be, depending on what you get, between, I'm guessing, $40 and $60. Troy at Northwood Leather makes these killer colored slips with different string. Yeah, there you go. And just go check out his Instagram, and he has drops and has some in stock all the time. I do not know how much they are because, like I said, Lefty kind of tricked me on that one. But this is that coffin sheath pizza operator, the $20 one from Etsy with the hedgehog in it. And then if I take this traditional pocket knife slip, the hedgehog disappears in it, but they make a medium, or they make a small, which they say is the right size for this. I'm kind of weird. After talking to Pocket Metal, he made me see the light that it makes sense to have the whole blade covered, where I know a lot of people like to have it sticking out. But that one, it just fits just fine in. And the reason it's got those weird marks on it is it had another sheath, this one right here, leaning against it. But I carry my Max Ace Beetle S in this big ass slip, and it works perfect.
Yeah, I've got the Northwoods too. I've got 2, and then I bought a couple for some friends. So
about how much do they run? Are they about 62?
No, I want to say I can't even remember now. I bought 2 for myself, and then I bought 2 to give away. I want to say they were cheaper, maybe $30 or $40. And this one's kind of cool. It's like red underneath, so it's like a dark brownish black, but as you get wear on it, the red wears through.
Yeah, and it just looks so cool. It's almost distressed because it looks like.
And then I use this Beard and Owl. I think he's out of Missouri. He makes really nice ones too. This one's lined.
Oh wow!
Looks like that sheep or whatever that I can't remember what it's called.
Almost like sheepskin lining.
Something like that, but it's kind of fuzzy and lined and and even it doesn't make it any more thicker, and it really forms. And if you get like the non-dyed, like the natural, it forms more. But he's got, I think these were like $45, but then he makes a huge amount of different styles, and he uses you can get. I almost want to say I don't know. I can't remember what the material is. I want to say felt, but it's not felt. But it looks like a plaid in different designs that are cheaper. So that's another good one. And they're, at the top, they're easy to, only stitched up so far.
What was he called again? What was that company called?
Beard and Owl.
Beard and Owl. I don't know if I've. Tell you else that I'm aware of does a good job, but I haven't seen their slips. And then we'll look at some of these Beard and Owl slips. Is Oak City Leather. They're the ones that make these sheets for chickadees and for Essies and for other knives. And this guy makes them all in the States. And he uses different colors. I don't have my other one out here, but they're really well done. I mean, it's got just the raw side of the leather on the inside. But he also does slips. And I'm going to share the screen, guys. And Dang Ross carried his Concept Cryo and a Chopped Shaman. I'd love to see a picture of that Chopped Shaman. I'll have to check you out. Patty's Potato Peelers. Welcome, brother. And Ashley Harrison Fat Spay Custom. Very nice. Guys, if you're not following Patty, check him out. He is the one, Patty, I ordered that Victorinox sharpening stone on your maintenance video the other day. It should get here Sunday. It'll actually get here a day before my my pony stouts. I'm getting a Sunday delivery, but I saw your video and how you sharpen your slip joints. And I followed your suit. Guys, Patty's channel is well worth a sub if you're not there already. Pretty Fly for a Knife Guy channel member. What is up, brother? So anyway, guys, sorry, I'll get squirreled out. I was just trying to get to the bottom of the comments, and I can't seem to get there. Mike Reese, I think the G10 will check in a second and see what's still there, but I know that they ordered, I want to say 800 knives, Lefty was saying last night, and I was really surprised that the blue and Stonewash sold out in an hour and 15 minutes, because what's 800 divided by 4? 200? That's 200 knives. Oh, sweet, Michael Morgan. If you guys are looking for Spyderco's, looks like our brother Justin, who I will be seeing in Atlanta, just dropped a Spyderco sale video. And I'll tell you a story about that, and then I'll quit just blabbing. But last year at Blade Show, Shane brought me back a bunch of knives that I'd let him. We live in the same, like in an hour radius of each other, about an hour. And we'd had lunch together, and I let him take a bunch of knives back when he first started his channel, long before I started my channel. And he brought them back to me at Blade Show because we knew we were going to see each other there. I was in no rush to get them back. He gave them to me at dinner when we were having dinner with brother Jason Brown, rest in peace, be up everybody, and Dan, and A to Z EDC, and Super Steel Steve, and Justin OCD EDC, Grateful Panic, Jason Bird, who is Jason Brown's best buddy, and then Dasa was there for a little while. But Shane was there, and he gave me back the knives, and one of the knives that was in there was a SOG Seal XR. I don't know if y'all seen that knife. It is a knife that closed about this big, S35VN flipper that just hurt my little finger, and my finger's not little. But it was a cool knife, and it's USA made, and Shane wanted to review it. So it caught Justin's eye, and Justin asked if he could check it out. And I said, sure, just take it with you. So we departed Blade Show, long story short. And about 2 months later, Justin was like, I need to get you this knife back. And I was like, dude, if you're not through using it, just enjoy it. You can bring it to me next year at Blade Show. He's like, dude, you don't have to let me keep it that long. And I was like, well, if you like it, I don't carry it that much. And we worked out a trade, long story short. And that's how I picked up my Warncliffe Spyderco PM2, this knife right here. And one reason why it is a forever knife, because if you look closely, it's got Justin's Spyderco membership number on it. So this is a Cutlery Shop exclusive in CTS XHP with some rock scale designs, titanium scales. But Justin hooked me up with that. And I gave him also some cash and that SOG, but I was stoked to have it. So I look forward to seeing him too. Steve, are you making it by any chance? I know it's kind of in the middle of your busy season.
No, yeah, one of these years I will. I will. I'm trying to get, because the problem is we do a big. It's right in the middle of my busy season. And then we also do a big family vacation with my wife's side of the family. So I already take off 10 days, in the middle of my busy season. And it would be hard to get away for another, 3 or 4. If the weather straightens out and I have a perfect spring where I'm not behind.
Where you've got the momentum, yeah.
Yeah. Where I'm not behind in May already, I could plan out, because it's just, I can plan out and give myself a 3-day weekend easy. But the last 2 years, the weather's just been absolutely brutal, and I'm just behind the 8 ball already. So
I totally get it. And I would, when you do go, I'll say when you go, give yourself 4. Give yourself that Monday too, because rushing back after a Sunday, because I realized last year, I left Sunday to get back Sunday afternoon. And that's where everybody that I'd seen and spent great time with periodically throughout the couple of days kind of all rallied together after the show was over, and they all went to a restaurant, and they all took, it was just, I wish I'd been there Sunday knowing I didn't have to be back to work till Tuesday, right?
Yeah. And I
So
think I'm going to try a Blade Show tech. I would love to go to the Blade Show in Salt Lake City because I've only been to Salt Lake City once, and it's absolutely beautiful there.
I
And I
would
would love to
love
go back.
to, and
It
hope
was,
to, I would love to get a relationship with somebody where I could use it as a work expense, right? Like go out
yeah.
there and work a booth or help doing something, whether it's handing out shit or getting involved with knife rights, something, it just, I'd love
Hey
to
man,
have a reason to do it.
we give Dave a little bit more time, and he'll be up and running. I talked to him earlier this week, and he's just kind of like fighting these machines. He knows how to make the stuff, but it's like now he's like, we always had people that set the machines up and got them working, and I was like, hey, try these guys, and they're real into you know the machine part of it more almost than the knife making part. So
I,
I
I
think
would
he's going
love
to
to
reach
see
out.
what he can do. Yeah, I would. I mean, what he does with scales is mind blowing, and
Yeah,
what he does with mods is mind blowing.
and I
And he's
think
such a great guy.
I don't want to speak for him, but I think a lot of guys kind of dip their toes in the water with fixed blades and then jump into folders. And I think he's jumping right into folders because
Yeah.
he's like I like fixed blades, but he's more of a folder guy. And he's like I'm like, well, you start with this, and he's like, I don't really have any interest in making a fixed blade, but we'll see what happens. I think he's excited to get him up and going, and
I'm
it'll be
telling you
cool.
that blade mod Satu did on the Project X, where he countersunk that titanium connections bit
Yeah.
or stud. I was blown away, and
Well,
I know he can make a folder because he knows what a detent needs to be. He's done so many mods and adjustments.
it was funny on the Project X. I can't remember who it was. I'd watched someone else's video, and they were talking about it only having one deployment method, and that there wasn't really space right to get thumb studs in, and because it would be in the cutting path or whatever. And Dave figured it out, and it looks good. It's functional. It's not in the cutting path any more than any other thumb stud that doesn't act as like a blade stop. So
No, that was
yeah,
I think that was the most impressive part of that video was listening to him after it scrolled to him doing that mod, talking about what he did to determine where that stud needed to go. I mean, you can tell that
yeah,
that's not just, and to do it by hand with machine help, of course, but I mean, I look at
yeah.
him as just a true craftsman. And
It
I don't
was
know if
funny
you
because
heard
he's getting
earlier. Oh, go ahead.
what's no, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that Jason Grant might jump on later this evening to show us what he's been working on fixed blade wise
Cool.
and talk about some of his folders. But go ahead, bud.
No,
What were you getting ready to
oh, it
say?
was because he wants to do like everything he can in house. Like I think he got himself a heat treat oven, or he's planning on getting it. And so we were talking the other day, and I said, well, is this going to be because we've had this conversation a couple of times, he and I think you and I have talked about it too on here, where like I think everybody kind of gets up in arms with heat treats, and if something's not hitting a certain rock wall that or rock well or whatever, that people I think they almost over focus on it. And Dave and I were like, we've talked about it, and it's just like I don't like to me, I don't notice that. I could have a shit heat treat on this and it just needs sharp, and I don't notice that because what I'm using this knife for, like say at work, I know it's getting abused, and it's probably my fault that I'm killing the edge more than the heat treat. And he's talked about it too. He's like, yeah, I just and he was a hard user too. And not that everybody, like I'm saying, it only matters to hard use people, but it's just, we were just like, I don't know why people focus on it. But then we also talked about, like, that's the cool part of the knife hobby, right? Some guys really geek out on sharpening. Some guys really get into the heat treat part of it. Some guys get into this or that part of it. There seems to be, no matter what it is in the hobby, and it could be, some guys are really into American knives. Some guys are really into Chinese knives. Some guys are really into, you know, it could be a number of different things, and there's just something for everybody. So, like, heat treat, and that really doesn't, like, I don't care. Like, I'll open a box and be like, oh, it's such and such heat treat, cool, and I never think of it again. So I was asking him, I said, now that you're going to be heat treating your knives, do you think your opinion's going to change on that? And he was kind of like, that's kind of a good point. Like, he's like, I didn't really think of it, but it's going to be like, he doesn't want to make, like, he's never thought of it either, and he just wants to make a usable knife and
Sure.
something that's easy to sharpen for people. And he's like, if I got to figure out what the optimum heat, like, he doesn't want to, he understands, like, there's two sides, people who care and people who don't care.
Right.
And,
Right.
and there's going to be people who, if he say the heat treat number would need to be 50, and if it comes in at 48 or 49, there's people that are going to freak out. And if it's at 51 or 52, I mean, there's just this fine line, and some people care and some people don't. But I was wondering, since he's going to start being a knife maker someday,
I
if
think
he's
that's
going to have
so
to start
cool.
geeking out on that. So,
I
yeah, he was.
know I don't know Satu like you do, but just from watching his videos, I know he's a perfectionist. He
Mm-hmm.
likes to get things right, and I know that when he's learning to heat treat, he's probably going to go by metallurgist specifications.
Yeah.
Larry Thomas probably, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
think he's going to shoot, and I think in a small batch, in an environment like he'll have, he can control it better
Yeah.
than a large batch. And I think
Yeah.
he'll shoot for the optimum heat treat.
Yeah. He said,
And again, he's not. I just think that's
yeah.
the way he is. He doesn't, but I don't think he's going to do it to please the
Oh,
slicers. Because, like you said, if he's building a hard use knife, which Satu is probably going to be building, I still don't think a hinderer. I think it being soft is not a bad thing because it can be used as a pry bar.
yeah.
Whereas I can see how you might want that full hardness because the steel, if you look at a metallurgist chart, the heat treat is not just if it's at this heat treat, it's shit. It just means that the maximum edge retention, which is one way of measuring the usefulness of a knife, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're trying to do it because you want the steel to be strong and to be able to resist lateral torque, you might, the optimum heat treat could be a couple of points lower. And I think that could only be probably known by somebody like Rick Hinderer or Greg Medford or Chris Reeves, what they've experienced with their knives and them in real life
God,
circumstances,
I
right?
can't remember who it was. I was just going through my Instagram, like the stories on the top, and just clicking through them. And I can't remember who it was today, or maybe it was yesterday. Someone was talking about heat treats, or because it just seems like always to be some kind of hot button. But I can't remember what knife maker it was or who it was, but it said something like the fact that makers should, when they're talking about their knives and heat treat, I think makers make their knife for a certain purpose, and some people might buy it for another purpose.
Hey, Troy.
And this heat, the, like, say, Hinderer, I think, he might heat treat his knives or make his knives so they fit what he envisions people using his knives for. And just because someone who gets it then isn't, I can't remember what it was, but it was a pretty good point. But I can't remember. And like I said, I don't care. So
But
it's
I see. I know Shane is big on that, and I totally understand why. Because Shane and I've had this conversation in person and on here. He wants the buying public to be informed, whether that's
mm-hmm.
their main purpose for buying it or not. He thinks that manufacturers should shoot for optimal heat treats, right?
Yeah.
So, slice your magnet cut is 65 or so, is toughest is 63. Yeah, slice your magnet cut is 65 or so, and toughest is 63. And if I was doing dual comments, I would highlight that from Coprolite Steve. It's just different uses. And again, I understand that everybody has their niche, whether it be action, whether it be portability, the way it carries. And that's what makes it fun because I learn so much stuff. Guys, I used to never carry a fixed blade or ever think that I would need a fixed blade or ever envision spending money on a fixed blade. Now I love them. Same with slip joints. And it's because I've been exposed to things that I didn't understand or didn't think I had any need for. And I would scroll past those videos forever. And then I'd start somehow getting drawn into it. And whether
Someone just,
that's,
oh, sorry, someone just asked about, they used to think Satu was a name of a knife. Well, it is. This is the Gray Man Satu. And that's what Dave is a huge fan of the Satu. And that's how he got his name. So for that was Dopey 6621, I think.
yeah, hey Dopey, that's what Satu is, a knife. And like Steve just said, Satu Dave being I would say more than, he's an enthusiast. He's made amazing scales for it, done cool mods on it, and he just goes by Satu Dave.
Mm-hmm. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, you weren't interrupting me. Interrupt me anytime because I'll just ramble, and I need to get to where the comments, even though I thought I was getting ahead by reading them in both places, there are comments I wanted to highlight, but I couldn't because I wasn't there. And the reason I left Sobek Scooter up there for so long is he's in the same boat, kind of like you are, Steve. He'd love to go to Blade, and he will one year, but I think it falls on the same weekend as his anniversary. So it's one of those things where it's just a tough go for him. But
I think when's Blade Show? Blade Show Texas is late winter, early spring, right? I mean, it was like, when was Blade Show Texas? It was a month,
3
2
months
months
ago,
ago.
2 months ago, 2 or 3 months ago.
I think that will be easier. I think I'm going to be able to attend that one because, like I said, that's more in a time frame where I can work it. And a buddy that's one of my best friends, I got into knives. We want to get to a show, so it's just like a 10-hour drive for us. We just jump on the highway and just scoot right on down to Fort Worth, Dallas, Fort Worth. So,
how far are you from Salt Lake City?
oh, quite a ways.
That's a flight.
Yeah, it would be a flight. It's like a 3-hour flight, 4-hour flight. Can't remember.
Yeah, it's I forget where everybody is. For me, Atlanta is about a 3.5 hour drive, maybe 4 if traffic's bad. So it just works out great for me. Texas would be a flight, or what part of Texas is in Fort Worth?
Yeah, it's in Fort Worth. I'm not sure.
Is that
I know
Eastern Texas? It is kind of right. I'm geography.
Dallas Fort Worth. I'm not sure.
But if you're looking at Texas, is it kind of like on the east side, or is it more on the west side?
Well, hell, I'd have to I've driven through there the last 4 years. I'd have to.
No, never mind, dude. Don't do that.
Map even.
I've got it right here. I've got it right here. Dallas. We'll say Texas is on. I gotta zoom out. Damn you, Google. All right, directions.
Yeah, February, he said. So that would work out way better for me.
Yeah, I mean, you want it to be convenient. It looks like it'd be about a 12, 13-hour drive for me, which is fine. That's not too much. But I was going to show, since we were talking about Beard and Owl, I've got it pulled up. I just wanted to pull it up so I could bookmark it.
Yeah, see, he makes these cloth ones that look kind of cool too, and then the leather and.
Very nice. I just like to be aware of different stuff, right? So I just like the understated, kind of nice looking leather. Very cool. Got one with a pen. How'd you find out about him, Steve? Did you just see him
I
online, or
I
did
saw another. I saw in one of the Grimsmo groups, another guy had gotten one for his Rask, and so I've got two of them. I was looking for it. I've got another one around here somewhere, but yeah, it's just. I mean, it's awesome. It just takes form of the knife, just like leather, and I mean, it's just a well made. I
flip
think
it?
it's
Well,
just
yeah, it
him and
looks
his wife,
sporty.
and
Dr. Drudu's only an hour and a half. Are you going to be there, brother? I look forward to meeting you. The website is, let me put it in the chat. Beardandowl.com. Mike Jernak, channel member. Vegas would be fun, Demon Ock. I'd go
is
out there for
the
a lot of different shows.
Urban Woodsman, is it in the stockyards? The Fort Worth stockyards are amazing. I don't know where in Fort Worth the
I
blade
used
show
to go
is,
to the
but
home builder show out there a lifetime ago, it seems like, and we got stuck one night in Deep Ellum. Are you familiar with that place where all
mm-mm.
the bars are? That's if you ever watch Texas Walker Ranger, it's where all the murders happen, and the cabs quit running there like at 2 o'clock, and the bars don't quit serving till 4 because it's in this weird little district. I mean, it's like I saw some of the weirdest stuff that I would ever think I'd see in what you would consider public, and this was in early 2000s. But we went to the stockyards, and I want to say Kohler had a party there or something, but it is a very cool area. I mean, that whole area is big. It's sprawling, but I don't remember. It was Blade Show. I hope you do,
He
Doctor
says
Dude. If even
Five
if
Door
you
says
drive
it's in
over
the
for a day
convention
or
center
so.
downtown.
So is that the Fort Worth Convention Center, or would that be because Dallas and Fort Worth are the same city essentially when I'm looking at Google
Yeah, they
Maps?
just kind of blend into each other.
But the venue is considered. Kyle Coonley, what is up? The Sharpening Wizard. I've actually got, since he's in here from Klingenworks Sharpening, he's the one that put. I can't ever get my light for both me and to show knives, but he put this edge on this MagnaCut on this little Chickadee, which is not easy to sharpen because I sharpened my S90V one. But guys, this is a shaver. So if you've got sharpening needs, Kyle, throw your link down there, buddy. Unless you're not available to be sharpening right now because you're booked up.
5 Door. He offered me. We've been talking for a month now about these those XM18 fatty warnies.
Yeah.
About getting, I got one. I've been really good. He's got one. He's like, hey man, I'll give it to you. I'm trying really good. Like I haven't bought a knife since it's been 2 weeks now. I'm just trying to enjoy what I have right now instead of just. I'm always on the. It's like I was just always on the chase. So I'm trying to just kind of slow down and carry and just enjoy these knives I have. And he offered it to me, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna let you know I need to sell some stuff. I'm trying to, if I'm gonna buy something, I'm gonna sell something just to kind of keep the collection under control. And then was it yesterday or 2 days ago? Was it DLT? I'm at work and I just happened to have a second, looked at my phone, and DLT did it. Hey, what's up, man?
Penny Pirates here.
They did a kind of a quiet drop on XM18 skinnies and a couple
I saw
fatty
that.
warties. And I sat there and I'm looking at them and they're in stock. And I sat there for a couple minutes, like I couldn't believe it. Put one in my cart, and I'm like, do I really need this? What am I doing? And finally, I back out, refresh the page. All the warnings had finally sold then. I'm like, and there were still like 3 or 4 skinnies left. I'm like, I've had 2 skinnies. Do I need one right now? Well, I could always use. So I put one in my cart and I sit there for a minute and I don't do anything with it. And I back out, and thank God they all sold. And I
Good for
was really,
you, Steve. I'm
really
proud of
proud of
you.
myself. I was really proud of myself right there.
That is huge. I was also at DLT when there was still the Jade skinny was in stock, and I wasn't where I could buy it position wise, but I was looking at it going, that is really nice. And then when I learned about the Fatty Warney, really what it was, you know, I don't need it. It's be cool, but I don't need it. So
Yeah,
I'm trying to only focus on those things that I really, really like, that I'm really driven towards. And right now, there's really nothing. I was glad to grab a pony stout because, again, I've been in Dark Gravity. We've got to get together just so you can check out this little Mash V2. I think it was a $130 knife, titanium and 14C, and it is done so well by Kubi. They knocked it out of the park. Deep hollow grind, and the pony stout's a deep hollow grind too.
yeah.
But there's nothing I really want. I'm going to Blade shows strictly for the people.
Yeah, that's. I thought, like, what would I buy? Like, I'm really. There's knives I want and want to try, but I still haven't just pulled the trigger on them. Like, I'm always in the Strider group. I'm always looking to see if something cool pops up. But over the last couple weeks, I haven't. There's been one knife, and I just kind of put it out of my mind. But there's always, like, I still think I want to go back and give the Evo 3.0 another try. I really like that knife, but then I got the Gray Man version, and I was like, I let that in my head. Okay, are these guys cloners or what's going on? And then there's the CKF Eagle Rock. I like the looks of that, and I think it would be a great way to dip my toes into the Trizula world without spending $2,000
Right.
to see if I
Right.
actually like the knife. God, I go
I
back
think
and forth,
Sharif
man.
has that knife. I think Sharif has that particular knife.
Yeah, I've had 2 Koenig Ariuses, and I buy them. I like them, but I don't love them, and they move on. But then every once in a while, it's like, oh, should I give it another try? I don't know. Then every week or every 2 weeks, I enter the lotto for the Stang Blade Works Pyrenees that I never get.
The Comet looks very cool. Do you think they'll have them ready, Scotty? I know that they've been posting that they're trying to. I'm sorry, Steve.
No. I've been interested in I don't want to pay secondary pricing, like scalper pricing, like on the lamina or the what is it called?
Lamania or Lamia?
Lamia. Yeah, I like it's like a little bit bigger than a Rosie on
Yeah.
washers. I'm like, that's cool. I sold my Rosie. I wouldn't mind getting the Rosie again if I ever, but I'm, get one at
Somewhere I saw
table.
that those prices were slowly coming down because
Are
they're
coming
trying to
down.
make. Yeah.
Yeah.
Give me a thumbs up whenever you're ready, brother. I see you down there working away. I'm going to bring Brother G Bizzle up here so there'll be 4 of us.
What's up, fellas?
What's
Living
up?
the dream, man.
What's up,
What are
Dark
you up
Gravity?
to, Dark Gravity?
What?
What have you been up to, buddy? Dark Gravity?
Nothing.
Putting a package. No, I've been put a package together. A guy bought a T-shirt from me. I got to ship it to California tomorrow. Hopefully it fucking shows up because it's expensive ass T-shirt. And then ate supper, took a shower, and now I'm here.
And your
Josh
week was safe?
Sir?
Your week was safe and eventless?
Yeah, I'm here.
Cool.
I got all my digits. That's all that matters.
Oh, yeah.
Cooper, like, is that the one? Is the Lamia? Is that the Alex Steingraber knife? The one that with the new the stuff that's going on there? I'm just trying to get my makers right. Which knife does Alex make? Do you know, Dark Gravity or Steve or G Bizzle?
Alex Steingraber, that's his knife, isn't it?
Okay, I thought
Yeah.
so.
Is there drama there
I
too?
just
There's
know
drama
that
everywhere.
Well, there was just a big and I don't even know the situation, but there was a falling out between Transparent Knives and Alex because I think Transparent Knives had picked up one of those knives from somebody on the secondary, and it had some little issue, and he sent it in, and Alex was great, fixed it, did perfect customer service, even did spa treatment to it, which he didn't have to do, and sent it back. And then Brian at Transparent Knives sold the knife because that's what he was planning to do all along. He bought it for $900 and sold it for $900, and that triggered Alex to really say, you took advantage of me. You got this knife fixed, and then sold it to somebody else. And Brian didn't understand why he would react that way because he wasn't doing anything shady. Brian wasn't. He just was seeing if he could get the knife fixed because he didn't want to sell a knife that wasn't working right. So if the other guy, in Brian's mind, which I agree with, if the other guy had gotten it and sent it in, and then Alex had done that and sent it back, it would have been a great customer service story still. So I don't know if it was a misunderstanding, but I think that's why Cooper Light Steve might be saying that, but I could be wrong. Ian G, the G is for gangsta. How is going, brother? Good to see you, man. Welcome.
That's weird that a maker and designer would respond that way. I mean, he would be responsible to fix the knife regardless of the situation with the knife. What if it was someone else's and Brian just happened to be the one who contacted him?
Well, I just watched something from him yesterday or today where he was, I don't know, changing his policy about way of knife only like doing warranty work or something on zero modded knives unless it was from like one company. I think it was like Way of Knife because he was showing a knife that had gotten screwed up from the modding process, and someone sent it in that the guy paid like $1,200 for it, and he was mad that the guy basically paid double what the knife sells for, and someone had screwed it up by modding it. So I know he was talking about, yes, I think it was yesterday.
I would think he would, because he had knife modders. Was he gonna work with knife modders products? Is that the one he said maybe?
I thought it was Way a Knife, and then he said he's going to, as he gets bigger, he's going to expand who he will like accept modded knives for warranty work back from, because he said he's like, look guys, I'm not Chris Reeve. I'm one dude. I can't have all these knives coming in for warranty work that have been tinkered with and dicked around with because I'm trying to get product out to sell or something. Yeah, it was the knife he was showing, the scales were basically ruined. They'd hit it with a buffer wheel or something, and he was he also won't warranty secondary knives anymore unless it's like the original owner. I don't know. I just kind of caught on at the end. I don't know. I just like the look of the knife, and I don't know. I'm tired of. Sometimes you're just kind of tired of the knife drama. It seems like someone's always mad at someone in this community, and if someone's always like, if we're just constantly canceling people out that we can't buy knives from, I don't know.
Parco channel member, what's up, brother? I totally agree, and I don't think canceling is ever a solution. I think people, in my opinion, and again, this is a future JuhVon apology, okay? If it trigger anybody, because I'm not trying to, but I think anytime there's a situation like that, to go to the internet before you go to the person and try to work it out is, just not the way I would like to see it happen. And I think in any community, there's always going to be drama. That's just life. So
Mhm.
I've kind of accepted that. But I think so much could be kept. You could agree to disagree and agree not to
Keep it
like
behind the
somebody.
scenes.
Exactly. Behind the scenes without making it I want a virtue signal. Not that anybody's doing that. This is a hypothetical John talking here, but whether instead of virtue signaling and sharing text and sharing stuff to try to make your side seem right, whatever side you're on, whether you're on the right side or the wrong side, I think if you can handle it like Dark Gravity and I talking out a disagreement, if we have one, that's the best way to do it. But everybody's different. 5-door
I gotta
channel
agree
member makes
with
a very good point.
I gotta agree with Jeff too about I like Brian, but he also strikes me as like liking to be in the center of attention or drama. It always seems it's if there's something involving a maker, designer company, I'm never surprised to hear he's on the other side of that drama
And
anymore.
in a lot of ways, that's true. I don't think Brian. As a matter of fact, I'll go as far as to say I know Brian does not come into it for the drama. In his mind, he is kind of like a lookout in his mind. I'm saying for the community, right? He wants to hold makers accountable for delivering products and everything outside where he's making policies and stuff like that. I'm sure that's just because in his mind he thinks it's right. But I think if you're that type of person, if you put yourself in that position, you're going to find yourself encased in drama, which could also become something that's like a dopamine rush, right? I mean, it could be something that what's is it, the tail wagging the dog or the dog wagging the tail, but I think Brian is doing it from a place of I want the community to know what's right, what I think's right. And I think Brian has the credentials and the equipment that when he tests something, I think it's pretty accurate. And I don't think he always goes to the internet first. I think when things get out of hand, he will then go to the internet because he's not looking to draw drama. He's just looking to make sure that his side is validated, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
What'd you carry today, G Bizzle? Did you say? I don't remember seeing your carry.
Today so I had the Kunwu S-Tau, which I just unboxed the other day. So I had that.
Oh, that's the Van X sheep's foot one. How do you like that? Is it a
Yeah,
frame lock?
yeah, dude. It's
Oh,
a
dude.
banger. It's a banger for sure.
What threw me
Van
off
X.
about it was the price. It was just priced so much higher than Kung Wu's I bought before. And I can see why. The steel's more.
Yeah, I think naturally, like if this would have been L Max or 20 CV, I think we would have saw it like low. I think I got it for 279. Does that
Right.
sound right?
Yep, because they're usually
Uh,
about 209 or 199, somewhere in there.
I think we would have saw it around like the 209, 219 area, but I think the Van X, and from it might not be $50, you know what I mean? But I think from what I understand, Van X is more expensive than, 20 CV,
What's that,
M390,
Dark Gravity? He would know. He
Is it,
I mean, it's like G-Ball said, it is more expensive, but it's not $50 more expensive. I mean, if obviously you go back to negotiated rates based off of your purchase size and things of that nature that you get into in business. But if you were to go to the store and buy it, I don't know off the top of my head. I would guess that it's probably, for a a sheep meat one of us would buy, you know, because we wanted to fuck around and try to make a knife, it'd probably be $10 or $15 more for the Vanex than it would for 20 CV. LMAX is cheaper than 20 CV. And so, I mean, a lot of the pricing that they do, like I understand jacking up the price of Maximette because it eats through tooling, or Rex 121 because it eats through tooling. But Vanex is no more difficult to machine than 20 CV. And it doesn't cost that drastic of a difference to go from, you know, 209 to 279. Maybe 259, 249. And I know $20. What's $20 amongst friends? But when you buy as many fucking knives as G-Ball does, $20 is a lot of fucking money.
Yeah.
At the end of the year.
I understand, and I understood that when I bought it. You know, that one is considerably more than, like you said, $60, $50, $60 more. And I knew the Vanex was, like you said, probably $15, $20. And that's not the knife. That's the what they're buying, you know. But then you gotta figure that, well, they're gonna add some extra because Vanex is, you know, how many companies use Vanex, and they know that. So they know that if you want the Vanex, you're going to pay a little bit more. It's just like Quiet Carry. They charge for a drift, you know, in Vanex, they're like $300. So
that's why they didn't make the 9 in Vanex, because it would have out.
But see, I would have bought the 9 in Vanex. You know, if they would have charged $330 or, you know, something within reason, because I think the 9's already $300, isn't it?
It was like $309, something like that. It was over $3.
So I mean, if you know, $330-ish, I mean, you're paying $300 already for 20 CV. I'll take the $30 hit, but it probably would have been more than $330. Maybe, yeah. But that's the thing with like Quiet Carry, Kunwu. They know they're the only companies really doing the Vanex, so they can kind of set the price points for it in a sense. And my thought was, I can get the S-Tau, and it's bigger than the Drift. It's probably got, you know, and it's got a Moku tie pivot collar. So it's theoretically got better materials than maybe the Drift would. And I saved $20 or $30 in a sense. You know what I mean? I have a Drift, so I already went down that road. But $20 or $30 less compared to Quiet Carry is kind of how I justified it.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not justifiable. I'm just saying that was
right.
If they'd have kept it maybe at $320, I might have been more, or $240, I might have been more tempted because I really liked the shape. I liked everything about it. And it wasn't that it was expensive for what it was. It was just expensive for what I was comfortable and used to paying Kunwu, right? I knew it would be more, but it just seemed, wasn't it like $100 more than like the X-Tau?
I want to say, yeah, I want to say like the X-Tau and those. Now, if you're getting them in titanium, they're like $10 or $20 more than like the G10 variants, you know, $20 more. So I think if you're looking at like the G10 models and say LMAX, those are around like the 180 mark. But I think if you're going to titanium, they add like a $20 upcharge. And then depending on the model, it might be, I think they typically range from 180 to like 220 is like their bread and butter. So I get the surprise when this was at like 270-ish, 280.
But
Because I was
holding it,
kind of, you know,
but holding it, you have no doubt that it's every bit worth its weight, because it looks like it is. I mean, the action on it looks just
it's very good, man. The only thing, and they did it because they made it more left-hand friendly. Now I don't know if it
it'll
can
make you
take
dig.
I don't know if it can take an aftermarket clip, but the only thing I'm not, and I like wire pocket clips, and that's what they did here. And if this wasn't left-hand carry, I'd be upset about it. But because they made it left-hand friendly, I'm kind of like, okay, I see why they went with the wire clip. But had it not been that way, I would have wanted a milled titanium clip for, that price point.
Yeah, and I'm sure you'll mention that in your observations. But that will fit the Lynch, so you can put the
Oh, okay.
Lynch wire clip replacement on that Kunwu. I think Lefty did it on his X-Tau. The second variation came with that reversible wire clip, right?
Yes, I
And
believe
if
so.
you want to be sure, you can just shoot Lefty a DM. But I think he put a Lynch Northwest Spyderco wire replacement clip on his X-Tau before he inevitably sold it. And this knife is just meh. It's a big meh to me.
So you're talking 3.5 inches of Van X sheep's foot, and then it's like 8 1/8 overall. So it's a good size. You know what I mean? It's right in my bread and butter size. Like the 8-inch to 9-inch is like my bread and butter.
Does it have a flipper, a regular flipper, like the?
Yes.
Oh, see,
So
this is so much better than the X Tau, in my opinion. The big Tau, which the sizes are identical, but the frame lock, the front flipper.
yeah, it's got the Superman hole. It's got the Superman hole, the front flipper, and the rear flipper, and they all work pretty good. I would say the detent is tuned for the hole, and the front flipper. The rear flipper is still good, but it feels a little lighter. But
you could fail it.
Well, no, I don't know about failing it. And I don't know. I think you'd have you could do it if you really,
Yeah, if you give just a little it's
anything.
Just profile. Yeah, because I'm trying to put no pressure on the lock bar.
Oh yeah, I guess I was just doing that. But had they made this any stronger, I think, then you'd have trouble flicking it and reverse flicking it, because it's, like the thumb flick and the reverse flick, it feels really good. The front flipper feels really good. It's just that rear flipper, leaves a little to be desired in my thoughts, but it could be completely perfect to somebody else,
Sure.
So
another great thing about the knife world is we all like different stuff, and if you get used to a detent in your pocket, I've noticed, like if I'm carrying a Spyderco and then I move to another Superman hole or Spidey hole knife, if I haven't flicked that knife, I'm going to be awkward with it at first until I kind of know exactly where my spot is. But that's just part of it.
Well, I'll show you another one after this that I just got this week. But aside from, I just found out how much I love this cold steel freaking Tough Light, man.
The Tough Light is great. I've got
this
one
thing.
too.
This thing is freaking badass, man. And so I ordered the mini one as well. But for a utility pocket knife, you seriously could not do any better than this. Like, if you didn't want to carry a utility knife, like a carpenter's utility knife, but you wanted something that was like that, but a pocket knife. You got a full finger choil up there, the triad lock.
Deep hollow
Uh,
grind.
Dude, yeah. I mean, for 20, I got this on a cold steel sale a couple days ago. They were running like 20-30% off on Amazon. So I was able to get this for like $20. Then I turned around and got the mini one. But when I just kind of bought it just because the one night it was late or whatever, doing my, the normal late night buy a knife
Impulse buys.
randomly. Yeah. And I unboxed this thing, man. You can reverse flick it out, thumb flick it out. It'll drop to your finger, and then you can thwack it down. I mean, and it cuts like a laser beam.
And that choil keeps it from cutting your finger. When you go to let it drop shut, that choil, it
Yep.
hits just perfectly, and then you can just give it one little twick, and it just slams shut. I've got
Yeah,
the olive drab one, and of all the knives I've given away, that one stays in my collection because I love it. I love
Yeah.
that little knife, and I haven't gotten the. It's called the Tough Light. What are they? The Tough Light Mini.
That's the one I ordered. Once I unboxed this, as soon as I was done with the video, I went and ordered the mini.
That's awesome,
Just-
dude. Those are great knives. And I don't think I did a review or an overview of it, but I need to do a full review on that because that's just a win.
Yeah. For $20-$30.
Yeah, I think if you buy it on normal days, it's like $36-$37 at top.
Yeah. Os 8 triad lock. Full
Thanks, Mark
full
Herrera.
grip. It's a good one for sure. One that I never really looked at, but like I said, I saw Cold Steel was running a ton of sales the other night, and I still think they are. I have an SR1, I think it is, in my cart for like $37. I thought about snagging. Cold Steel's OS 10 is pretty good stuff, especially at $37 for a Cold Steel. I didn't get it yet, but I'm thinking about it.
Coperlite, you're in. I thought that was only in the city of New York. I know you're not in the city because I've got your box is going out with the rest of the phase 2 of my shipments tomorrow. But is that why Amazon won't ship to you? That sucks.
Wait, they won't ship to him where he lives,
To
or because it's
Coperlite,
a knife?
because it's a knife, and I think
But
that's
how would they know it's a knife?
because the ones that are listing it. Amazon, when you buy stuff from Amazon.
Oh, because he's buying it from Amazon. I was like,
yeah.
How
That's
would if he's buying from DL? Oh, that's
that's what I'm talking about. Is that when you go? Because see, I buy a lot of knives. I was showing y'all earlier, and G-Ball. I even talked about you. You weren't here, but this 15-7 or 10-17. What is it? 15-17. 1508. I don't know what I'm talking about, but this brother knife is only sold on Amazon. So this is like their Rough Rider Reserve line, right? And this knife is done. It's done so well, Steve. I mean, it is like the carbon fiber's done well. It was $37.
Yeah, VG10.
VG10, and then they have one other pattern. They have a lot of locking patterns, but they've got this one, which is like $34. And I was impressed. It's VG10 too, but with the construction, it's micarta, stainless pins. Both of them have lanyard holes. Both of them came razor sharp. The only thing a little bit wonky, this one's got a real tough go to half stop, and the half stop is more of a not quite half stop.
That's exactly how mine is, man.
So if you're OCD,
if you're lefty, you're not gonna like it. But the Warncliffe, the drop point's good for the money. The Warncliffe is exceptional for the money. It is
banging. I mean, that blade and the way that it's just perfectly kind of rounded, and less than $40, guys. I mean, I was showing you earlier some of those Rough Rider Reserves. You weren't here. dark gravity, but check out this little guy, this little copperhead. Little Rough Rider Reserve. And I thought in my video, in the unboxing, that this was a cheaper knife. This one is actually $10 more. And they're both D2. They're both micarta. But the big Warncliffe, which I love with this easy open, was like $35. And this little copperhead was like $49.
Where'd you get those?
These are Smoky Mountain Knife Works. They're Rough Rider Reserves. I've got 3 Rough Rider Reserves. Not the Rough Rider, but the Rough Rider Reserve.
Yeah.
And they run in the 30 to 55. I actually got 4. I've got another one too.
That's the more premium, right?
Well,
the
yeah.
reserve.
Yeah, what they're allegedly, if you read what Smoky Mountain says, they're handmade in China. So
Hand fit, yeah, right.
yeah. So and when you look at them, like this one here, this Patriarch, it came perfectly centered. It has no displacement between any of the materials. They've got perfect half stops. And they're less than $50. So to me, that's a budget knife. So it's been easy, even though if I look at my fucking mound of slip joints, I could have probably done something smarter with my money, right? But I wanted to experience them, and I've been able to experience a bunch of them for not a lot of cash.
I don't like that logic, really. I mean, especially for you or I, where, or Scotch. I can understand the logic if you're just a collector and that's all you do. You know what I mean? I can understand, but when you're making content and you want to make content and you want to experience new knives and you want to make new content on new knives that you haven't had, I don't care if it's $30 on a tough light like this or a slip joint like that. I think it's perfectly reasonable.
It's justifiable. I totally agree.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think of other EDC stuff that I've got in my collection that I can make content out of. And that's why it's so easy for me to get back into what I liked originally were like the Migurons, the Kubis, the budget knives, because I can share them with a couple of hundred people, right, that are going to watch the video. And to me, that's good, because when I used to get experience about any of the knives that I bought, from my most expensive to my most inexpensive, it's all from influencers. It's all from people who did YouTube content. But that guy, going back to leather, as my squirrel brain commonly does, that Epoch leather guy also makes this little Knipex slip from my little Knipex plies.
Lancelot makes a slip for those.
I know, and I've got Lancelot I've got one of his, but I didn't buy it from him. But I've got 2 knives that are going to go one at a time to Lancelot that I've got to get sheaths done for first, and I know how much these are going to be because we've kind of talked about them. So I've got to get my J-Cals sheathed up, and I have a feeling that this one is going to be a little more expensive than what he quoted me when he sees it in person. I don't know why I think that's going to require more work than that.
Wow. I don't know.
I don't know anything about leather work, but I would think having that wonky cleaver thing would make it tricky.
It's still the same process, though. If you've ever watched someone make a sheath for a fixed blade, you still have to do the same process. Might be a little bit more involved, but I don't see it being much more. It shouldn't be, I don't think. But what do I know either? So
My
Scotty,
problem
that
is
is the baddest little knife. Go ahead, Steve. I'm sorry, bud.
no. My problem is I don't buy $30 now.
You used to though at some time,
I,
didn't you?
I used to though.
Well,
It,
we all start somewhere, and that's what I'm saying. I absolutely. I think the first knife I bought when I was back in the game. I know the first knife I bought when I was back in the game was the CEO CRKT from Blade HQ for $37, and I waited for it, and then immediately ordered. I don't know what my second knife was. That's where it gets blurry. That shows how an addict's brain works. You know, I remember my first, but after that, it's just been a blur.
a blur.
But the knife that Sobek Scooter Scotty's talking about, I've seen Jared's review on it. It is a Civivi that I've been most interested in of any Civivi. The only thing that I'm not crazy about, have you seen it, Dark Gravity? That one with the really thin blade? It's got a Lee style blade. It's a button lock with an aluminum handle. They call it .10, but it's really, hold on a second.
Is it that damn good? Because if it is, I'm about to order one.
Yes, it is allegedly, if you go watch, and again, I'd put a lot of faith in Jared's thoughts, but it is that damn good. I watched him slice with it. He sharpened it. Here's this picture of it.
It's coming in 14C, $66.
Yep.
I can get it on Sunday.
But see, I don't like the blade, and I don't think that's. I think
I don't
it's
like
done
it
to be a can
closed.
opener. Yeah, because it's a can opener.
I don't know why they did that.
Me neither. And I don't think there's any reason now. Dark Gravity, one of you guys tell me if there's a reason for that to lock into the lock pin, where maybe there's something that it had to be done that way. But the thinness or the thickness of this blade is, and this is going to be wrong because it's actually thinner. Jared measured it at
right?
.080 is what Jared's measurement came out with.
Wow.
I mean, it is so
Are you talking
thin.
about this part right here? Like something like in the blade that locks into the stop pin?
Yeah, it's like that, but it's very exaggerated when it's closed. So close that knife.
You
Okay,
can't
just
really,
you can see it. It's
you can
doing
see it,
very much
yeah.
the same thing, but it's
Yeah.
enough to where Jared thought it might be a can opener. But is that a feature of how it locks up?
Yeah, this goes right into the stop pin.
Yeah, it shows right on. So if you look at the Civivi
Share it.
Amazon, you want me to share it?
Yeah, I'll let you share it. I'll put it up.
Okay. Hang on a second here.
Are they showing somebody popping a beer with it? Because that'll make me like it less. Not because it's a beer, but
I don't know if it's a beer. Whoops. I think it's just a bottle.
okay. So they do show it being used as a bottle opener.
Yeah. Second picture.
Which is pretty cool. I mean,
I don't
but
think I can get mine on a.
it seems like if that's
this isn't a
helping your
blurring.
lockup, that you wouldn't want to.
I don't think
grind
you'd
any
want to be
metal.
tweaking that. Chewing
Yeah, I
that up
wouldn't
with
think so either.
That's just me.
So my guess is, JuhVon, I bet that it was similar to like the one Scotch has there, and them being as, you know, in June, I don't know how to say it, but they were like, well, let's incorporate a bottle opener into it. You know what I mean? Where
Yeah.
they made it work like that instead of, it probably might have been a little smaller or what have you, but then they decided to open it up a little bit more and give it a second use. But opened, that knife looks amazing, I think.
I totally agree, and that's why I can overlook that feature that I would probably never use, and I might even start drinking some of those, not cream sodas, but root beers and things like that just to use it. Blade Ogre, that is so funny, and it's so true. Sezzle did make my dipping my toe into higher end knives easier.
Oh yeah.
Lay away with immediate gratification.
Right.
Yeah, I was still baffled that they would send you the knife before it was completely paid off.
I got my my first Medford that way from E-Knives. I sizzle that bitch.
I now have like a $2,400 credit with a firm, like an $1,800 credit with because I just, I'll buy shit and pay it off, and I've been doing that for the last couple years, and my credit limits are scary high for some of them. Even my zip is like $600, and that was tough to get up that
Do
high.
they do they report to the bureaus? I mean, it's great if you're not abusing it. If you've got those up there. Yeah, Tactical
If you,
Terry, I value Sezzle more too because for me, bi-weekly goes with my schedule, right? I mean, it kind of works out if I budget for it to where it's a budget knife every couple of weeks and it's not a budget knife anymore. Yeah, just make sure you pay them off when you were supposed to, and they'll keep raising your limit. I have no idea what my limit is on mine. I haven't checked. Just like I don't total up my knives on my spreadsheet like Scotch and Things did.
That was a bad year. It wasn't bad. I'm just joking.
No, I thought that was.
I enjoyed myself, but the final number was staggering.
But I thought it was. Go ahead, bud.
I was gonna say Sezzle. It's like Terry says there. Sezzle, or the company that Sezzle is using, like the bank or whatever, pays Smoky Mountain Knife Works or whatever, and then you pay Sezzle. They're banking on, now they make money from like the retailer being in cahoots with them, but then they're also banking on people being late on their payments, where they make
want you to be a little late. Yep. Howdy, Twang Sting, channel member.
How can you be late though? Because it's an automatic. I mean, I guess
it doesn't have to be.
No, that's
if you link it to your Apple Card, which is how I've got it set up. It won't be to take it out if it's not there, so it won't overdraw you or anything. And then you have like a $4 charge, or you've got 48 hours to put the funds on your Apple Card and go in and pay the 30, 40, 80, however much bucks it is.
I forget if it's Sezzle or Zip or one of them though. If it's within a few days before it's due, you can actually go in and have like a request, like say something pops up and you can't pay it because you had to buy something for your vehicle or whatever. I think you can ask for like an extension and they'll grant it to you with no hit as well. I don't know if it's Sezzle or not, but one of them does it. PayPal, Sezzle, Zip.
I know PayPal. PayPal has the pay in 4 also too.
Yeah.
That just was popped up one day. I'm like, oh, okay, sure. Well, let's try that.
Yeah, and they started doing the payment plan. So like where you can do, like, say the knife's $500, you can pay that over like 6 months instead of doing a pay in 4. You could do like 6 months or 12 months, but now you're going to pay interest on it, obviously, in that case.
Yeah, but, I wouldn't go that route. I don't think,
right?
Because then you're jumping in, like Stevie said, buying shit that you really can't afford. And Edgy's right. We got into a slam fight earlier, and I don't even think he was talking to me. He was making fun of my debate, not hate. And I think that if debate breaks down, hate is acceptable. We're not perfect, right? So
I'm going to ask you guys something that's been kicking around in my head for a couple weeks now. So I am not for clones at all. Like someone had commented on one of my videos that they bought a clone, and I tried to be nice, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, I can't agree. I can't condone that. I don't agree with it. It hurts the original maker. Because they were like, well, I got this for $30 and it's perfect. And why would I spend the money on a real knife? And then I saw for some reason I haven't been watching I haven't had time to watch a whole lot of videos lately, but in my feed, something popped up. I can't remember the knife channel. It's a knife channel, but it was called an OK81 or OK something. I'm like, that's a weird name. But it's just basically a Spyderco PM2 clone. the hole is kind of squared. It's all carbon fiber. It's a good looking, like it looks good, but I was like, so I Googled it. I'm like, this guy's done multiple videos on this knife. I Googled it. It's like $35. I'm like, there's no freaking way. And it takes you to a website with a bunch where you can buy a bunch of other clone knives. I'm like, all right, I get it now. It's just a clone. Like whatever. You know, they've got, you could buy hinderers and whatever you wanted. So, and I know people bag on Greg because he talks on that all the time, but it's not just him. It's Spyderco. It's everybody that's getting hurt from it. But so I noticed this the other day, or it's been a month ago. So I'm a huge Shirogorov fan, and I've tried to do research and I can't find anything. And I'm down to one Shiro now, but I mentioned I wanted that Eagle Rock from CKF, or to try one out. And Kev, Lefty, took one apart. And on the inside of the knife, it's on the liners, it's got multi-row bearing system, MRBS, etched into the liner, just like Shiro does on their knives. And it's in the exact same font as Shiro uses on their knives. And it got me thinking, like, okay, so CKF is right out of Russia, but everybody knows their knives are, all the parts are made in China by Riyadh or whoever, shipped to Russia. Well, Shiro claims all their knives are made, you know, that they do all their knives. And it's just kind of like bugging me, like just these 4 little letters are the exact same from a Riyadh made knife and a Shiro knife.
Yep.
It could just be right. It could just be the machine. They're using the same machines and the same font.
I think,
come on, Shiros are expensive freaking knives.
let me tell you what I think it is. And I've seen this with EMP for EDC, and Grateful Panic actually bought one off AliExpress because it looks identical, but it says it's in D2. I don't even know if it's D2. When that knife came, I don't have a QSP liner lock. I've got a QSP frame lock. But I'm convinced that they run multiple shifts, and they're making EMP for EDC's knives maybe 10 hours, 12, 14 hours, 16 hours a day, and then they keep the machines running to feed the black market. Or maybe it's flipped the other way. I think they're using the same tooling, the same suppliers. That's funny. I don't care who you are. But I think it could be, Steve, that you're looking at the same components of a Shiro that then makes you think, am I buying just the name? When it comes to that,
and
that's to me different than Greg or Dave at Hinderer, or Dave at ProTech, or Greg at Hinderer. Like, if I see a Chavez, yeah, I know Ramon makes his own knives, but anything that's gone overseas, I don't think they think of it as the same way that we do, right? They don't look at intellectual property the same. So it would make sense that they're gonna.
Yeah, it's just kind of bugged me that like CKF, and that's kind of what's kept me. That's kind of why I sold my Evo, even though I liked it, because CKF had that original history, right, of making Chris Reeve clones, or the edgy Shane. You're in here, right? You've been,
he's been screaming
right,
this shit for years.
Yeah. So CKF was making, or still is making, or they do it on the side, but that's all coming from China, shipping to Russia. Here's my problem is like Shiro. It's two brothers. I think one brother might have died. It might just be one brother. It was 2 brothers, or a brother and a dad. But supposedly these knives were all made in their factory, and I'm just questioning. Why? And it just could be like, I don't know. I'm gonna have to ask Dave. Like, maybe it's just the machines they use, but why? Like, it is the exact same font, and it's not something you can see because it's. I mean, you have to look for it. It's on the inside of the scale. Like, I should run upstairs and get my knife to see if you can see it, but they put it like on the inside when the blade is open, that you can see that it says multi-row bearing system, or single row bearing system, or roller bearing system, and on that Eagle Rock that Kevin tore down, it was the exact same font, and I was just kind of like, oh, come on now. And it just got me thinking, like, and I'm talking like, so their production knives are expensive. Their custom knives are like tens, $12,000.
Really?
So yeah, for the Shiros. And I'm like, and the one I've got left is a very expensive limited knife. And I'm like, God, I love this knife. And do I need to sell it before the bottom falls out? And I've just got a, so I don't know. It could just be, that's why I need to talk to Dave. Like maybe maybe this Kern machine or this, what's another CNC machine, a Haas or what, God knows what they use to make them on, Tormac. I don't know. Maybe it's just the same font, but when I saw Kevin tear that knife down and I saw that font, I just thought, oh, that's really weird
That's.
that they're
I'm
similar.
glad you brought that to my attention because I haven't even seen. I saw him tear down that knife. I think I was watching it after another video, but I wasn't paying that much attention. But that's, it's hard to say, because we've got what happened with Hoback, just from allegedly excluding the whole story.
Yeah, see, and man, I really like. I mean, like Corporal Light Steve, like I do. I had 4 at one point. I'm down to 1. I want to get some more, but now I'm just really holding off because these are $1,000 knives. The one I still have left is like an $1,800 knife, and they do. So the CK should hold on one second. I don't know if you guys can see it. You can see it better on. I'm gonna go grab that knife upstairs and see.
And
if you guys
what video is it? One that Lefty put up recently? Because I'll pull
Lefty
that.
put up. It was a while ago. So I've been wanting one of these Eagle. Like I said, I've been wanting one of these Eagle Rocks for a while, just because it's a cheaper alternative, getting it from CKF, than a $2,000 Bob Trezula, knife that he makes himself. And I thought, okay, it's a big knife. I know I like big knives, but am I going to like this knife? I like the looks of it.
I got
I can
you.
get
So
into this knife for $600, not a clone, but hey, Bob Trezula went to CKF and said, here's my intellectual property, make this knife. But I'm just worried, like, someone just said CKF's made by Kevin John in China, assembled in Russia. Kevin John he still makes clones. Yeah. I don't want to I'm not buying clones, but I'm just saying I'm worried. Like when I saw Kevin tear down that knife and I just saw the same font,
I'm going to find that video and we'll look at the font.
Yeah, I'll be right back. I don't want to start shit because I love Shiro, but it just kind of scared me. Like, wait a minute, why is this font the same? Like, is Shiro having someone make their parts just like CKF?
Well, they can claim just like American companies can. They don't have to make everything to claim that it's them, So there's that gray area.
That's what gets me. Like, hey, I'm spending a lot of money because you're, like, hey, I'm spending a lot of money because, this is made in America and this and that, or hey, this Shiro is all made in, you're for quality, not for just someone mass producing shit and sending it out and this and that. So I'm gonna go grab that knife and see if you guys can see
I'm searching for his video right now.
Urban, I think it could, but it might be a little too dense. Like it might be a little too dense, a little too thick, maybe. But like what I'll do is I just went to Aldi's, a grocery store around here. They're cheap, a cheaper grocery store, and they'll sell big jars of salt for like 50 cents. So the one day I just bought like 10 of them for like $5 or whatever the hell it was. And that's ammo for life, pretty much, for these bug assault guns. I don't know if you guys ever seen them, but they are worth every penny, man.
I have seen those bug assaults. Those things
worth every penny.
All right, guys, I'm going to show you guys what Steve's talking about, and this is just a freeze frame So I have been working in the background. See that right there? That MCBS on the liner or on the scale.
What is it?
See this little print right here that's the font that's etched in the scale?
Oh yeah.
That's what Steve's talking about. That's the same font and the same way they designate their bearings on a Shiro knife. And this is a Riot made Tetrazola. So that's when he said he's not trying to start drama. It just bothered him when he saw that video, which makes
Yeah.
sense.
I'd want to find out what the deal is with it.
That's a little bit, I'll leave that up, Ed, because I know Steve will know, and Dark Gravity may know.
JuhVon, did you ever pick up that Joker Avispa, man?
I'm going to. It's definitely on
Dude,
my list.
it
I've got it saved.
I guarantee you, I don't know, well, I guarantee you will love it. I'm not sure about your hand size. I'm assuming it's similar to mine, probably. I have a little bit bigger hands, like
I'm gonna make you
XL
big
size hands.
so I can see it better in your hand.
And dude, this thing, canvas micarta, it's yellow and black. It's a
Full tang, nice. That is a little banger.
and it's 14C satin finish. These are hand crafted, hand fitted, hand finished in Spain. I bought another one, another Joker, because I wanted something similar to just what I got right here, something with a leather sheath and all that. The video for this is coming out in the next day or two, but this was like $35. They have it in 420 steel. It was like $35. Wood handles. I forget, is it olive wood or something like that? I forget what the wood is, but it's freaking beautiful, man. And it is as sharp as a razor. It's a little bigger than the Avispa. You can see there. It's about an inch bigger, maybe, roughly.
Yeah.
But I just wanted something a little different. But like the sheath, man, is so well finished.
Dude, I thought that was a White River when you brought it up. That looks just like my White River sheath.
Dude, $35, man, and 420. They even tell you the heat treat right within their stuff, you know, and I think it's 52 to 54 for the heat treat, which for 420 is good to go. You know what I mean? It's a tougher end heat treat. Perfect little fixed blade though.
That's the spot, Steve, that you're talking about, right? Can you see that?
Yeah.
That's his
And this
assembly, and that's where it says MB, or let me tell you what it says.
MRB, multi-row bearing system.
Yeah, MRBS with a little triangle in front of it.
Yeah. And so this one is their soft overkill. It's a RJ Martin collab. And I looked and I thought this one had it. This one just got the symbol for their roller ball. They're just roller ball bearings. And that's what this one's on. And it doesn't have the font like my F95 and my other two had, where it just said the MRBS.
But you've seen it before, so you know it was on your knife.
Oh yeah, and it was in the same location, right by the pivot, where the knife doesn't have to be apart, so you can you could tilt the knife and look in and see the designation, if it's single row bearing, multi-row bearing. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but it kind of scared me. I don't want to start shit, but it kind of, like I said, it kind of scared me because these are expensive knives that are supposed to be made in Russia, and not that Russia, like I said, but it's not. They're not outsourcing, right? It's not like they're claiming they're making everything in house,
Right. Do you
and they're
see?
charging a lot of freaking money.
Oh yeah,
And but man, I don't know. I love this. I mean, their knives are great. The
and
action
that's
is
all that
amazing.
matters. And that's
Yeah,
all that at the end of the day, that is the
it's all that
most
matters.
important thing.
But that was my problem with Hoback, though. No problem with the quality, but don't charge me American-made prices, or don't charge me like if it, say this was made in China. Don't charge me $1,800, $1,600, $1,000 for something that you're just having produced and you're just putting it together.
Right.
I think that was everybody's problem with Hoback was don't charge me
Well, there's a
American-made
lot of
prices.
companies are doing.
Yeah.
I mean, people are willing to pay $1,200 for an Evo, which is made by Kevin John in China. I mean, it at most the Evo is a $250, $300 knife, but people are willing to pay $1,200, $1,600 for, or $700, from the
table
dealer.
price. Yeah.
And
So
as long as
Kyle
people are willing to pay it.
So Kyle just said I thought they outsourced production models, but the customs were in-house. I could be wrong. See, I don't know. I've Googled it since I saw that lettering. I've Googled it, and like this
Night
is
edgy.
custom. It's a special edition. So like, is this outsourced or is this made there? Are there F95s? They're everyday. Like, I don't know. And I want to. I'm. You know what? Probably when I get done here, I'm gonna go to the Hero group and ask, and probably get banned. But
You won't get banned, and dude, don't let it sour your love of the knife, right? I mean,
yeah.
it's still, you
Well,
can always. Coprolite C says Russian labor isn't much more than Chinese.
the thing with it is a knife value is what you're willing to pay for it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that way with anything. If the price, I was watching a video about selling shit earlier, and the guy was talking about when you post shit up for sale, these are the things you have to look at. And the last one, of course, is, the demand for it. And does your price meet the demand? And the more the demand, the higher the price. Like I sold a shirt earlier today, the one I was packaging up while I was late. It was a T-shirt that I bought in the thrift store for literally $4.99, and I sold it for $75. And I could have got more if I was willing to sit on it, but I didn't want to sit on it, and so I put it at a very low end price, and the demand's there for $100 to $150, but I had $5 in it. And so I put it for 75. I put it for half of the top price, and sold it within, I don't know, about 3 weeks. But there's somebody willing to pay for it, and it's the same thing with a knife. Is unfortunately today, and I'm going to use the company I work for as an example. We claim that our stuff is 100% American made. But we are the largest steel recycler on the planet. So if we're recycling, if the steel comes in from a factory that's made with, structural steel out of China, or structural steel out of Korea, or structural steel out of Russia, or anywhere, does that mean our product's not 100% USA made now? Because the source of the raw material come from another
So
country.
many places, yeah, a bunch of different places. Literally a melting.
Because our steel, we don't make steel out of raw iron ore and carbon and things of that nature. We use those things to modify the mixture, but our steel, when we fill a kettle, it's filled with literally scrap steel. There's a scrap yard, right kind of down the driveway. You know, it's in the same area of land. You know, it's on the facility where all day long trucks come in dumping scrap steel, and only God knows where it comes from. And I mean, I hate to say it and I hate to justify it because I definitely want to know, and I agree with what you're saying that if it's made in China, Shiro should fucking say it. Same thing with the Hobak. Don't lie to me and then let me decide whether I'm willing to pay for it.
Yeah.
Based off of where it comes from.
Based off the quality of the finished product.
That's the point I think all of us should be pushing when we find out or start questioning those things is this a dishonest maker? And the odds are, if there's a buck to be made, you're going to find somebody doing fucking crooked.
That's true.
Or at least people, somewhere in.
Or people whose morals are different than ours. And it could be that their morals are different, that they don't even see it as being crooked. They just have a different philosophy because they're in a different economy, a different world.
I've been all over the world.
Transparency.
I've been all over the world, and morals are the same everywhere you go.
I agree with
your old lady is wrong in every country. So it's the same principle. All it is if the more you're having to do to survive, because see, that's what most Americans don't understand really is surviving. The more close you get to survival and your basal instincts, the more shady shit you're willing to do. And when you're making $2 an hour working in a factory in Guangdong, China, you're willing to do a lot more shady shit than somebody making $35 or $40 an hour in the U.S.
Good point.
You know, and that's what you're running into with, you know, the knockoffs and things of that nature and the questionable practices and things. You know, you've got your rich who want to stay rich or get richer, and then you got your poor who are just trying to survive, and both of them will do the same shady shit to get by. You know, and Shiro is and I'm not saying they're cheating, and I don't want anybody to have that impression that they're having their knives made in China and then they're just kind of polishing them up a little bit in their shop. Because I have no clue. I get where Steve's coming from, and it definitely makes you curious considering all the other, you know, things going on over there. But is it surprising? Is I guess my question.
Right.
That would be the price of it. Like, it's nothing wrong with the quality of the knife. I mean, I've had 4 of them, and they are all amazing knives.
I have a question, Steve. What is the detent like compared to the Evo?
Well, this is different. This is a flipper only. It's
right,
and this
but
one's
what I'm
different.
saying is, every custom knife factory I've ever heard of, the detent sucks. Every CKF I've ever heard of.
I only had the Evo for like a week, and it was fine. I thought it was I could, you know, finger flick. I thought the detent. I'm not like Kevin, where like I'm not the detent diva, but on mine, I thought it was fine. What else have I handled? I've handled a couple other, just where like
I was
like
just thinking of more
on my F3. I had a special edition 1 of 100 F3 aquatic that I just sold because I wanted to replace it with just a regular one. There was 100 of them, and I thought, all right, I'm gonna let one of the collectors get this because I'd rather just have a regular one that's not special that I can use.
Well, I've only handled 3 Chiros, and the detent was good on all of them.
Yeah,
and I've only handled 2 custom knife factories, and comparatively speaking, the CKFs were very soft compared to the Shiros.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I don't have a broad comparison of. I'm just going by YouTube reviewers mostly and saying that CKFs usually have. I don't want to say a shitty D10. I guess that was the wrong way to put it, but a softer D10. It's on the softer side.
The Shiros are more.
Shiros,
I mean, the Shiros are stronger by. I mean, I've had two frame locks and two liner and three liner locks, two. Have I had 5 Shiros now? Shit, I can't remember now. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, it could be that Shiro has scales made or something of that nature, and then puts them together and they set the D10 ball. I mean, there's always that possibility.
Yeah.
I guess really you just have to ask yourself, do you feel it's $1,000 knife before you buy it?
Oh,
that's really where it comes from is irrelevant, and you just have to.
It is, but you want the transparency. Like, hey, you paid, like, if they outsource this thing and it costs them pennies, and they're charging thousands of dollars for it, and then the exclusivity and this and that. That's what bugs me. That's what bugged me with Hoback.
It's the principle.
Yeah,
it's the principle of it. I agree. I'm very principle oriented.
Because
my shit just broke.
Because I've had 3 Hobacks, and they were all phenomenal. It was the principle, let me know, let me decide, tell me the truth, and let me decide if I'm willing to pay that. Then
I agree. I'm just saying that because I doubt with Shiro being in Russia, it'd be really hard to find out the truth. Where Hoback is in the States, so it's a lot easier to find out the truth when Jake started, having his stuff outsourced versus Shiro. And also the Hobacks looked like they were damn made in China. Nothing from CKF or Shiro looks like it's made in China because they're smart and using, people who can actually make and design knives.
Mm-hmm.
Which one, Dopey? Which giant mouse do you have a shitty D10 on? Because I've got several. One of them's really tight, and then a couple of them are a little softer. But my weakest D10 is on my F5.5 Urban EDC. My most uncharacteristic. Really? Yeah, my Urban F5.5, it's just my specimen, is kind of wah, wah, wah.
Real? That's insane.
Look. Wah, wah, wah.
How long have you had that?
I've had it for a year. It came like that. I think a lot of these micarta ones had softer detents. I've almost gotten another one because Grateful Panic's got a couple of these, and they've got really snappy detents. But I got one of the really good Biblios, and this thing has got a rock hard detent. Where I heard a lot of people had got some that the M390 wasn't good on it. It was real soft. I sharpened this up, and it did great. Felt great on stones. It's held an edge. I've only sharpened it once, and it's got a very poppy detent. And the reason I rally on this one is I haven't been able to bring myself to get another F5.5 because that detent's not that bad, and the knives are so similar. And again, it's just about knowing where to flick it. So if I try to flick it there, I fail it. Once I get used to this weak detent, I will never fail it.
See, that sucks. Because my F5, it's the titanium Segaha one, and
those
for a liner lock, dude, it is, it's stout. It's real stout.
Yeah, this one's not.
So
but again,
that's
it doesn't
surprising.
bother me. It's just And
Right.
Kevin's talked about this one being that way. And I think the G10 ones are real snappy. But this one, for whatever reason, is just kind of wah, wah, wah.
Is that
Love the
M390
knife.
or LMAX?
I think it's M390.
These knuckleheads thought I was asleep.
They knew you were shopping. What's funny is I've still got your share screen active down in the lobby. They can't see it, but I can see you browsing.
Oh yeah.
Because I don't know how to. It says if I make it go away, I'll be kicking G Bizzle, and I'm thinking I'm not going to kick G Bizzle. Yeah, Chaz, I think the stout detent is the norm. I think mine and the other ones of that generation, that green or brown micarta from a year or so ago, are kind of weak. Shane's still here.
What-
Awesome. Shane, I'll send you a
What
link, brother.
What
I mean, that goes
Plankton
like
said,
like going back to like clones or whatever. Like I can't remember who you said it was. What knife company was it? The QSP Penguin or were they?
Yeah.
Or, right.
That's
It was they made the Penguin or whatever it was.
No, they made
Like, say-
EBCs, Nimbles, and then
Yeah.
we saw the Nimbles on Alley, and when Grateful Panics came in, it looks every bit like an EMP Nimble. I mean, I have no doubt that they didn't sell the design and have somebody then recreate the Nimble. I have a feeling, 99% of a feeling, that it was actually built in the same factory with the
And
same setups. Yeah.
Like I'd feel bad. Like say that happened to Kevin. I'm not saying it will, but like he's worked really hard. He's got all these models now, and what's stopping AliExpress or whatever from just taking and copying his stuff and selling them for $20?
Nothing. But the only good thing is the community, most of the community that can afford $80 would not buy a clone. But there are people that, is it really cutting into what Kevin would sell anyway? And I bet you if we go to AliExpress and if I search for a stout, let me see.
You can probably find one.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I bet you any money they run them same knives, and it's probably different steel. You know what I mean? It's probably not M390, but they probably run that same spec and then just send it down a different line. You know what I mean? A different line where the EMPs would go down this line. These other knives are going out a different line out the back door, and they ripped off his design, and they know
it's intellectual property.
They know that knife, that Nimble, is highly, highly popular. People want it.
Yep.
Yeah. So they're not stupid over there. You know what I mean? It's kind of like Dark Gravity was saying. If there's money to be made somewhere, they're going to try to get it, whether it's right or wrong or indifferent. They're going to figure out a way to pad their pockets, even if it is ripping off someone's design. It's just like when John went with Best Tech over QSP for the Relative. Well, didn't QSP run out the Rhino, which
right
is
after
almost
that? I thought it was identical to G-Ball. I'm glad you brought that up.
It's almost to the point where they were like flipping John the finger. That's kind of how, it's not even my design, and that's how I felt for him. Now he knows his knives are gonna sell anyway, because like you said, the people who are gonna buy those kinds of knives like EMPs or Devos, they're gonna buy them anyway, and they're not gonna look at no clone. But the issue is still there, especially like QSP. John went with Best Tech because they did the Relative better, and they still have the design from when John sent it in there. All they did was make a few tweaks, add some crisscross jimping at the top of the blade and put it out before the relative was dropped. You know, John had done the pre-order, I think, but the relatives were not out yet when the Rhino came out.
Right.
And they was charging $100 more than, you know, $50-$100 more than John was charging for the relatives, which is insane. I think the relatives were like what, $350?
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. I mean, they not only took the design, they took the fact that they knew that they had the market, right? So they basically jacked up over what QSP normally charges because it looks so similar. I'm convinced.
I wish Shane would come on, because I think he's done the research. I've heard him mention it before about, like, because we're talking about Best Tech, QSP,
I'll
all
send
these
Shane a
different
message to jump on.
manufacturers, and I know he's more knowledgeable on it. But in reality, they're not different manufacturers, and they're not just making knives. They're making a ton of stuff. In my previous life, my other career, our buyers would go over to China a couple times a year for shows to buy home goods, houseware stuff, and they would go into these buildings, and what he said, it was literally a mile long, and there was every kind of what you wanted. I mean, pots, pans, toasters, whatever. Just, and he said that there were 10 of them, and they were there for. They'd go over there for 2 weeks and just look for stuff to buy. So, I mean, they've gotten really good at. That's what they've. It's not just knives. I mean, it's everything. But it's like, imagine a building a mile long with just toasters and mixers and shit like that in there. It's.
Well,
I mean,
China has, from what I understand, they have towns basically that they all build the same shit in that town. Like, from what I've understand, Best Tech, Kunwu, QSP, Riot, all of them are like all in the same town.
Well, Best
It's
Tech I
not
learned
like
last night is a trading company. They don't have any manufacturing. But go ahead.
they're a middleman, is what they are. Is they facilitate. They're like a general contractor. You hire them to get it made, and they go and get it made. But from what I understand, all the Chinese knife makers are in the same town. It's not like here where you got a knife maker in Ohio, another one in Arizona, another one in California, another one in Oregon. You know, we're spread out over 2,500 miles. Everybody that makes knives in China are all in this same little community. Everybody that makes pots and pans and skillets and shit, you know, and toasters or whatever, you know, Steve was talking about, they're all in this one area. You know, and I say town, I mean, I'm using that as a relative term. It's a community, and everybody kind of does the same shit in that community. And then you go over to this community, and everybody makes the same shit in that community. You know, and then you go to a different community for different products. It's like everything is compartmentalized in China, which kind of makes sense when you think of how communism works. You know, you keep all the people that, you know, do this trade over here. They live together, and I know all that's true because I've seen the shit where they show that. You know, like everybody that works at Foxconn just about lives in the same fucking apartment complex or whatever you want to call it.
That's where they had to put the net to keep them from jumping out.
To keep them from committing suicide. But I'm just saying, if you go around, there are these, like Steve was talking about, mega structures that are just massively huge, that are 1 million square feet or whatever the fuck it is, and it's just like everybody that makes these types of products just all work and live in that same little area. And so it would make sense that they're all trading shit out. And I'll make this, you make that. I mean, we do that in America. You know,
we source
it's okay
stuff.
because Yeah, I mean, every company in America sorts its parts and this, that, and the other from other companies. And it's cool. It's just standard operating procedure. And I would assume it's the same thing over there.
Yeah.
The only thing here is we have laws that govern, uh, intellectual property. Where if Steve asks me, "Hey man, will you make X Y Z for me?" I start making X Y Z for him. I can't go sell it to another guy because then Steve can sue me because I'm making Steve's product. And Steve arranged for me to make that product. And that's how, but in China, it's my product. I'm in America. I ain't got no rights in China.
True, true.
So I email them a design on a thumb drive, and they can do whatever the hell they want to with it over there.
Well, that's
Hey guys,
the
whoops! I just made the wrong person. Whoops! Sorry about that, guys.
I'm
I was gonna
lucky.
say
Go,
to Ian,
one.
the Rhino is only like 0.1 smaller, by the way.
What'd
and
you
it
do?
looks
Yeah,
Kick him
identical.
out?
I know people get freaked out about. And knives are a big topic. I used to be real big into mountain biking and road biking, and there were three factories in China or that made all the carbon frames for every single bike manufacturer in the world, and they always called them like the Italian, the big three: Pinarello, the DeRosa, and God, I can't remember the other. Oh shit, I can't remember the names now. But even their frames were made over there in China, and then they just get brought back to Italy to be painted or whatever. So it's the same thing.
Well, there's some products you're not going to find made in a first world country. Uh, Carbon fiber is one of them. We've talked about that on here before. Pretty much all your carbon fiber that you find is going to be made in China or Russia or somewhere of that nature. Pretty much all the titanium that you buy that's processed and made into ingots is going to be processed and manufactured in. I think China's the biggest manufacturer, and Russia's not far behind or some shit like that. I mean, I can't remember exactly, but a lot of that stuff is so toxic that our EPA laws and regulations make it to where we don't make it here. Um,
Truth.
I mean, that's just how it works. We were talking about that at work. A lot of companies um, don't develop here. We were talking about one of the chemical companies here local to us. And if anything ever happened to that chemical, they're not ever going to shut the chemical company down as far as the owner of that company because it would cost them billions upon billions of dollars just to rebuild it. It'd be so cost prohibitive to rebuild it and meet U.S. standards for the environment that they're not just wouldn't do it. I see Jason's back.
Yep, Jason's just popped in, guys, and I think his mic's working. Can you hear us, Jason?
5 door. It's more cross country riding.
I think you're muted, brother.
Mr. Grant,
There he is. Can you hear us, buddy?
I can hear you talking with the be able to.
He's just trying to get his mic right. Let me make myself little. But he's got I'd asked him earlier to if he had anything cool to come on and show it, and he's got some cool stuff, and some of it's available. Cue Ball's Cutting Corner. What's up, brother? But yeah, man. I mean, I'm trying to think where I first started. I was way before I was in the knife game, and I think it was with guitars, and with Gibson in particular. And Fender does it too. Twang Thang. I don't think Fender had any issues, but it's hard to know where things are made. Fender at least is transparent and has their Squire series, but who's to really say? I mean, we're taking the company at face value until they're caught doing something dishonest, right? What'd you do, Tactical Terry? Did you drop a knife in your crotch?
JuhVon, did you see the Velocha that I unboxed this week?
I've not seen it yet. Let me make you big though. That thing looks awesome.
Dude, it's sweet. It's got tiger flamed ano, blue titanium hardware, and then it's S90V on the blade steel. It's a pokey bastard.
And that's Sharif's, isn't it?
Yes, sir. That's a Manganis design. Sharif Manganis. It's phenomenal, man. So well done.
Dude, what's the name of that new knife that's the Tanto that he's got coming out?
Oh yeah, I saw it on
Because that's going to be the
Instagram.
first. That's going to be the first Mangana Steel branded knife. That's his first like non-collaboration.
I have the Ruckus on the way. Kubi just did a titanium one of that
Hey, buddy,
in 20 CV.
you're back. Can you hear us, Jason?
I still don't hear Mr. Grant.
Oh, buddy.
I see his hands moving.
Yeah, that was his fuck.
He's
He can
talking to
hear
no one.
us, but sounds like he can hear us now, but his mic ain't working.
Who's currently got family in Shanghai making all these knives? Who done this? I got to go back up here.
It's not Shanghai, Shane. It's like
Shenzhen.
Guangdong or some shit like that.
Shenzhen is what Shane says.
Pocket
Oh,
stuff. The Ruckus is phenomenal.
That is awesome. They were,
I have
and I was agreeing with your original comment when you put it up there. We really should look inward at all the issues we have here. You know, we can all be, and we all, I think, are very patriotic, but there's shitty stuff going on everywhere. Go ahead,
Something
brother.
that Z-Man brought up earlier was the fact that we started, exporting all of our manufacturing. And really, exporting the manufacturing has been happening for the last 100+ years. It's not a new phenomenon. It's just we were exporting manufacturing to friendlier nations than China. Because you can go back and find stuff from the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 30s that was made in Korea or made in Hong Kong or made in England or made in Italy. I remember in the 80s and the 90s, if you found a pair of pants made in Italy, it was like finding a piece of gold. If you found anything, things made in Europe was a big deal, where now it's not such a big deal anymore. But you can buy things that are made in America. You can buy everyday things that are made in America. Your electronics are a lot more difficult, but as far as your day-to-day shit, whether it's your groceries, you can buy from local suppliers. You can go to the vegetable stand in your community, the farmer's market that's close by. You can buy American-made shit for your house, whether it's furniture, whether it's, sheetrock, whether it's wood or concrete or brick or anything. You can buy American made. It's just the people who choose to do that are a minority. And so, because most people look at things for what I hear the argument all the time with guys at work. I love Amazon because it's fucking cheap. That's their argument. It's fucking cheap. And they're not looking at the quality or the longevity. They're looking at how much money they got in their pocket and what else they can go buy. It's the same principle with the people in the knife community that want to complain about Steve flipping a $2,000 knife, but Steve's got 5 knives and they got 500 fucking $30 knives. Well, guess what? They got more money in knives than Steve does. And I'm just using you as an example, Steve. Pick on, it's You know, I want cheap shit so I can get a lot of cheap shit instead of having really good shit that'll last you generations. You know, and that's the American way is we buy the cheapest shit that we can that just fucking falls apart. So we got to go buy another one. You know, that's when my dryer fucked up. I went to buy a new dryer because I was like, the dryer's 40 years old. Well, the lady at the store told me, no, don't buy a new dryer. These are pieces of shit and it's going to go out in 5 years. Go buy a new heat element for your dryer and you'll probably still have it for another 30 years. And guess what? That my fucking son's still using that dryer.
Right.
And the
It's
damn
still
thing
drying.
and it was bought in the late 70s. Like 40-year-old dryer. Still works. You know, and it's because it was made to last. You know, and I'm just everybody's worried about fast fashion, fast food, fast this, fast that, cheap this, cheap that. And until we change that mentality, see, I don't necessarily agree with that because
Have a great weekend, Scotty. Enjoy the fam, bud.
you know, there are factory workers willing to pay, but there's everybody wants to blame corporations for the CEO making millions of dollars. And the thing that people don't realize is, you know, I own part of AT&T. I own part of Microsoft. I own part of, you know, Boeing. And yes, the CEO of those companies makes millions of dollars, and I don't. But that's where the money goes, is to the shareholders. And you know, and what I'm talking about is somebody said that companies in America don't want to pay fair wages, fair union wages, and this, that, and the other. I work for a non-union company, and I promise you, I make as much or more than any union worker in the country. And the company I work for is willing to pay a wage because the company can sustain the wage. When you're talking about a lot of, you have to look at the wage based off what you're doing. You know, and a lot of people think that a fair wage, a union wage, is the right way to do it. And that's the reason the company's left, is because that's not the right way to do it. Because a company is going to go to where they can provide to the shareholders, the owners of the company. They're not beholden to the employee. I don't owe you shit as my employee, except you do the job for this agreed amount of money. If you don't like the amount of money, then get the fuck out. That's the way it really works. My family owns a business that we've had for 25 years, 26 years. Actually longer than that. I forgot them. We've had it for 29 years. And the people who work for us get what we're willing to pay, not what they think they should get. If they think they should get a different wage than what we think they should get, there's the door. That's how business works, like it or not. And if it doesn't work that way, then the business goes to where it will work that way. And what happened is, in America, those unions started out with a great cause, which was safety and decent wages. They got safety and decent wages. And then in the 90s, they were making over $100,000 a year, where the national average income was probably somewhere in the $30,000 a year range. They had Cadillac insurance where they had zero copay, zero deductibles, zero doctor referrals, could go anywhere they wanted, anytime they wanted. And so they were paying exorbitant costs in insurance. Then they also had legacy costs. Because you also, the dumbest fucking thing in the world, I was walking through a GM plant in the 90s. I couldn't pick up a piece of fucking paper out of the floor. Because if I did, I'd get in trouble. Because I'm taking somebody else's job. That's fucking stupid. And America doesn't need that, and that's why those jobs fucking left. That's why they went to Mexico. That's why they went to Canada, and that's why they eventually ended up overseas. When we quit thinking we're entitled to somebody else's fucking money, then we can come back and bring jobs back to America.
We got to be willing to work for it.
We got to be willing to work for it and not think that Steve's money's my money, John's money's my money, G-Ball's money is my money. It's not my fucking money. My money is what I get out, when I get up, and what I go earn. If I create something, if I own a business, if I invent something, that's mine, not yours. I'll pay you what we agree you should. We agree to it. I'm not forcing. That's the difference. I'm not forcing you to do this job for this amount of money, whether it's $10 an hour or $50 an hour. I'm not forcing. And that's the thing. Now, there's on the flip side of that, there's a lot of greedy people in America, and so that makes everybody thinks they should make $30 an hour or $40 an hour, and that's not the case. I mean, you hear it all the time with McDonald's. Oh, we should be making 15. We should be making a livable wage. Well, get a fucking education, get a skill, learn to do something besides eat a burger.
I was gonna say, not even an education, just learn a fucking skill.
Right. I mean, I don't have a degree. I mean, I'm a genius. I quit college 3 classes before I fucking graduated with a degree in mathematics. But that's what happens when you have kids and your priorities change. But I've developed a skill that there's a lot of demand for, and I make really good money because of it. But guess what? It's mine. I worked my ass off for decades to get it. And I found a company that was willing to pay me for my skills. And that's what you have to do, is not think that some company owes you. My employer owes me nothing. I made an agreement with them. I'll do X, Y, Z. They'll give me this at the end of the day. And the reason I don't work with my family anymore is because of insurance. Thank you, Obamacare. My insurance went from $300 a month to $1,500 a month.
Dang.
Because it's affordable care.
Yeah, that I won't even go there. I got screwed in that.
Well, I'm just saying that's the reason. A number of years ago, I went back to the public sector to work. I went to work for a company and stopped working with my family. And guess what? My brother, he did the same thing. My sister ended up having to get a job, and now her and my brother-in-law keep the business going. And we walked away. It used to be me, my brother, and my sister. Now it's just my sister. But she had to get another job to go in addition to my brother-in-law working the old family job.
Just
because they needed insurance too. It's all about insurance. I mean, we weren't getting rich, and when you got to pay, $20,000 a year for health insurance, for you and your family, it kind of changes the whole ballgame. Anyway,
I totally agree. No, I mean that's what our lives are about. It's about just what's on everybody's mind, and I think there's a lot of misconception when we all take it and simplify it to you shouldn't do this or shouldn't do that or buy this, buy that. There's a lot of moving parts, right? It's a lot more convoluted and complex. I can remember when I worked in the cabinet industry and we'd go up to McCormick's place every other year for Kitchen and Bath Show. The odd years, it was in Las Vegas. And in either case, I was exposed to what I consider to be inefficiencies and union control in both of those areas, because we would go up there with probably $150,000 of handmade furniture and crates, and we couldn't carry to our booth even a box of brochures. The Freeman Group did all that. They're the ones that handle the convention setup. And when you get out to Las Vegas and you think it's going to be different, it's the same people that are controlling that convention center floor, and they rule it with an iron fist. I mean, we've had people tell us that were exhibitors. We were a new exhibitor the first year we did it, and the guy that I was with that owned the company was raising hell with one of the guys about, no, I'm going to bring my stuff because this stuff's not packaged. It was a box of stuff in. He said, you can't. And the guy, who was an older gentleman in the booth next to us, came over and said, you really need to watch it because at night they'll come by and they'll destroy your booth. And he was serious.
Yeah.
You know, it's just you couldn't carry a ornamental vase to sit on top of a vanity that we built. They had to handle it, regardless of how long it took. It was weird. But now that you say what you said about picking up the paper, it makes sense. Awesome, ENG. It is, man. We're in a, I think we've been in a fucked up place for a long time.
What Tactical Terry's saying is true about the original intent of minimum wage. The only thing is minimum wage wasn't, it's not, I guess the word I'm looking for is not meant to be, in theory, it's great. And the intent was great at the time that it was done, but this is a very dynamic system. And when Congress passed the Minimum Wage Act, the problem with the government is the government likes to, and I'm not talking about any party, I'm talking about the government as a whole. And I'm talking about, and you can look at any managing organization, parents do the same shit with their children. I've done it with my children. You know, I've done it as a manager in a company. I've done it as a manager that has a business. We try to fix a problem. There's a problem right here. This is broke. I got to fix it. And we throw something at it. We throw the first turd that we can find at the wall, get it to stick, and never think about the long-term effect of it and how it's going to work. When the income tax was first introduced by the federal government, it was only like 1%. Where is it at now? You know, when Social Security was introduced, they were never supposed to fucking touch it. How has that worked out? And that's the thing with all of these different systems that the government has implemented. It gets to the point where it no longer works and they're not willing to adjust it and realize that instead of trying to implement a minimum wage, they need to, which in America today, minimum wage is intended for high school kids. It's not intended for adults anymore. If you're 35 years old making minimum wage, there's a problem there that's not the government and not McDonald's. You know, the problem is the individual. You know, and because by 30 years old, 35 years old, minimum wage should be the farthest thing from your mind. Hell, you could even argue by 25 years old. By the time I was 25 years old, I was making at least probably at that time 4 times what minimum wage was. You know, and like I said, that's because as I chose as an adult to develop skills. I know Steve did. I know that all 4 of us sitting here have developed some type of skill because I have kind of a grasp of where each one of us 4 is roughly financially based off of our spending habits. You know, I can see that forest for the trees, you know, and I know that all of us are at least to varying degrees reasonably successful. And it's because we develop skills, whether it's through education or through hard knocks, that somebody somewhere is willing to pay us for. And that starts when you're young at minimum wage. And then as you get older, and that's what I mean by the congressional act that created it wasn't fluid. You know, back then, everybody lived in a 2-bedroom house or a 3-bedroom house with one
Take care, Randy.
bathroom and one car. You know, things were very different back then. You know, now the average household has 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, and there's 3 cars in the driveway, if not a motorcycle and a boat to go with it. You know, those were the world was very different when that was passed. You know, and that's something that all of and I don't know how we got on this, and I guess it's something.
Yeah, I'm
Y'all
sorry.
just
I
trying
see
to
all
get
the
me
people down because they don't want to talk politics, and it's funny. It's like
This isn't politics. Life.
no, I felt like listening to Shane every Sunday night. I don't think he ever talks about knives. And like I said, I felt
I gotta ask Randy this. When am I talking politics?
We're
no. I'm
not.
just
That's
saying
what I'm
people
saying.
Tell me
people are.
when I'm talking politics.
We're not. That's what I'm saying. It's just it gets. I think when people, and this is me, and this is the future me apologizing for anything I say, but I think when people hear people talking
Government.
about real things,
Oh yeah.
real life things, they bring their political idealism into what they're reading or hearing, and that's okay. That's just the way that people are. But it's not politics. It's life. You know. It's just really what's happening. And like Ian says, if we all spent more time trying to solve some of these issues, and instead of just throwing turds at the wall, we would be a lot. And gee, exactly. People do confuse economics with politics. And what we're talking here is simple economics, and I find it fascinating because I learn about it. I hated economics in school, but I'm affected by it every day in real life.
It is fat. Like like okay. So I've got triplets. They're 15 now. Her first job, she's a busser in a restaurant, making $13 an hour plus tips. I just found that insane as a first job. Like my first job, I was making $4.25 an hour, and I know that was 30 years ago, but I just it's staggering what they're willing to pay these younger kids.
I was gonna say when Dark Gravity kind of finished up, when I was 15, which wasn't that long ago, but when I was 15, still in high school, I never accepted minimum wage as a pay because I knew my work ethic. And even back then, I grew up on a big property doing a lot of different things, around the property. And I had certain skills acquired by the time I was 15. So I never accepted minimum wage. I don't think I ever worked for minimum wage my whole life. But from the time of 15, in 2004, I was making like $10 an hour under the table back then. And ever since that time, I've never blamed, like when I went to work for a particular factory, I agreed on that $13 an hour or whatever it was. And I accepted that that's what the pay was at the time. That doesn't mean I was happy about it after a certain period there. So I moved on, and I didn't blame the CEO or whatever. That's what their pay was. I'm worth getting paid more than that. I've acquired more skills now, and then you just climb the ladder. Don't be satisfied, in a sense, has always been my goal. So I've always tried to basically climb the ladder, acquire more skills, more knowledge on those skills, and then just keep moving up. Don't ever stay satisfied.
And it's fun, like in my area, my guys get paid pretty well for middle of nowhere Nebraska, and I've got an entire Hispanic crew because I can't find white guys that want, and I don't want to get into politics like that, but they don't want to work. And the same thing, like one of the dealers I work for couldn't find millwright guys to do the stuff he wanted. He'd hire 3 guys, and one would show up on Monday and then quit the next day. And like you get paid well, you get a per diem, everything's paid for. You just show up to work. And I'm lucky that the guys I have now have been with me for, well, 3 of them are new last year, but they've been with me for years now. And they get a raise every year. I pay for all their food every day. They don't have to bring water, food, nothing to work. They just show up. They don't have to provide tools. They just show up and do the job, and they're going to get paid overtime. And then I also pay them to sit on their ass all winter. So, but it takes a certain, and I've tried hiring high school guys in the summertime. I've tried hiring, they just don't stick around. They just don't want to.
Put any effort. They don't want to learn. They don't want to. They don't want to evolve in that. For whatever reason. It's, all you have to do is turn on any news channel, any news podcast, listen to it from a couple of different angles, and we all know that we've got serious issues that we're facing, right? I mean, that's just reality. And like Z-Man said earlier, talking about it is the civil way to come to maybe solutions. Not that we would be the ones that could make the solutions, but we could sure voice our opinion in an election. And that's where politics, I think, comes into it. But to go to what Dark Gravity said, the government's the government, guys. Party is, to me, it's smoke and mirrors. The government is run by the government, and the party is the color that they wear for 4 years. Now, I might be dumb. I might be simplifying it. I might be tinfoil hatting it. But I think it's going to run the way it's going to run because it's the way it was designed by somebody outside of either party.
I think the reason, especially nowadays, there's a lot of suffering across the board, and it's because everyone is looking for the easy way out into anything, like Scotch is saying. Anything that has to do with even semi-hard work, most 90% of people, male or female, don't want any part in it. They want the easy way out. They want, and they want it given. They don't even want to earn it. They just want it given to them. So that's the huge issue nowadays. Everyone just wants something given to them. They want the easy way out. They don't want to have to earn it. They don't want to have to work their way up to do it. They just think it should be given to them, and that's the huge issue with the United States. There's no aspiration to the hard work, resulting in what you want is now gone. That idea of putting in the hard work to get where you want to be that's gone these days. Kids grow up thinking they just deserve everything. They should be given it. And that's not how I was raised, and I'm sure that's not how any of you three was raised either.
No.
And to play devil's advocate to that, I think, because I've got a 23-year-old daughter who just got out of college, who's working in a restaurant and not working in her field yet. But I think there's a lot of fear, uncertainty, trepidation. I think kids, when I say kids, people in school getting out of school are fucking terrified of life. I think there's more than just, and I think it works both ways. I try to put myself back, knowing what I know at, over halfway to dead, reality of where the country is and what I've seen change and where the world is, not the country, the world. And to be someone that's just getting out of school, that's plugged into any kind of media to hear what's going on, I can see how it could almost be paralyzing. And I think there's a lot of that people don't have the social skills or the courage to try as much as not having the willingness, if that makes sense. And I think it's on both sides. You have people that aren't willing, but I also think you have people that are like failure to start, right? They're like terrified. They're terrified to go out into the world. They've been sheltered through school, through a system that now they've had all these ideals put in their head, and now they're out in the real world and they don't know how to switch from existing to thriving.
And my wife and I have talked about it. We've seen with our older daughters, growing up as a kid, I never really, my parents didn't make a ton of money, but I never really wanted for anything. We always had what we needed. Yeah, I didn't get the pair of Jordans that I, wanted to fit in at school. And you strive better to, not to be better than your parents, but to earn more, or to allow your kids more opportunities. And we've realized we've kind of spoiled these kids all of a sudden to where they don't, now they've all got jobs now, but they didn't really have a good grasp on at 15 years old, hey, stuff, costs money. It just doesn't magically appear because we kind of spoiled them. And it's you've got jobs now. Now it's time to start buying your own clothes. You want to go to these fancy stores and get the stuff that all the other kids have. You've got jobs and you're working for it now. You need to realize what this stuff actually costs and how much you need to work to buy this stupid shit from Lululemon and all these stores that these kids want to go to.
Yeah, it's
talking about working. Y'all saw me go up here and look at my phone. I got work to do as soon as I get off here.
Yeah.
Because I decided to start a fucking side hustle because there's something in my little coconut that I know that I can make money from. And so now I got to go and pull more shit and package it up.
Did you sell something else? Congratulations, dude.
I can't say the picture of what it is, but yeah, somebody bought some shit.
God, this is being resourceful. I mean, Dark Gravity doesn't need to do this, but he has found a way to parlay something he enjoys into revenue.
And that's the thing is it's everybody can do it. Everybody can make a living. Everybody can make money. Everybody can be successful. I mean, if you can walk, talk, pick your nose, scratch your ass, shake your wiener, show your toes, you can make money. I mean, there is something for everybody.
Kyle just said it teaching the kids to.
I ain't gonna be no full-time eBayer, but I like eBay. I'll go ahead and tell you that. It's really easy. If there's something that you love, and there's something that you enjoy, use that to your advantage. I'm selling knives and fucking old clothes on eBay. Because those are two things that
I want to see you start a channel doing that. And then start buying these pallets from Amazon.
I won't buy. They got those Amazon stores, those things. I've been to 2 of them. Oh, I can't handle it. Too many fucking brown boxes laying around. You go in those, you get those Amazon boxes, and it's nothing but brown boxes inside of them. It's just stressful.
But
You don't
that's
even know what it is.
but you get to cut the boxes up to put them in your
Yeah.
recycling bin. That's why I love Amazon, because they'll ship a little knife. They'll ship a knife in a box that's this long.
No, you need to go, John, to one of those Amazon uh, bin stores, whatever you call them. I don't know exactly. They got one next to the Goodwill here in town, and me and my wife went in there the other day, and I went into a different one. They called it a 358 or something like that store, and depending on what day of the week you go in, is what it costs to dig through, to buy stuff out of the bins. And they
Yeah.
buy those Amazon boxes for whatever they cost. I don't know what they cost. They buy them, and they just walk out there. They have them sitting on the floor, and they take a knife or a box cutter and cut the top off and get out of the way.
We have
And
that.
I bet
And
you
you
can
dig
find some
through
good
it.
stuff there.
We have that
You
same
can.
store, Dark Gravity, up 10 minutes up the road, and I think Saturday is the day the week starts over, so like that's the
Yeah.
$8 day, I guess, and then as the day goes to Friday, it goes down like $1 each day per box. But the good shit is on Saturdays. Like you want to go Saturday morning or whatever. I've never been there, but my buddy, he's gotten all kinds of shit from this Amazon store, headphone, like just all kinds of shit that would cost 5 times, 10 times the amount that you're paying for it, whether it's something you need or not, that, but you could go and sell that item too.
Well, and if you know what you're getting,
Yeah.
that's the key, is you know what you're getting. It's like with knives, which with knives, it's all about being in on the drops. And in case y'all didn't know, there's groups that you can join where, for lack of a better way to put it, it's rent-a-bot, where you can join these groups and they'll set you up with the bots for drops.
Yeah.
And so when Strider drops knives, you can have your bots lined up and hit Strider with the bots. Or when Hinderer drops knives, you can do, or whoever it is, whoever you're trying to catch the drop on. There's actually groups you can join that it's basically you pay a fee, and the fees vary from group to group, but like one that I was asked if I wanted to join was $35 a month. And it's designed, it's targeted more towards clothing and, streetwear and stuff like that. But like when Supreme does a drop, you can have, however many bots you want for what you want to go after, and they'll program them for you. And, for what because Supreme puts out what's dropping just like knife companies do or anybody else does. And you can go in there and have it lined up that you want this hat, those shoes, this shirt, that jacket, and it'll fix the box on it for you, so you can get what you're wanting to try to get. But I don't do it that way, and I won't do it that way because I disagree with that. And I was really glad to see Hinderer has come up with a system that they're test driving with their next drop. I guess, to try to defeat the bot. But, if there's something you enjoy with eBay and things of that nature, you can make money off of it. I mean, I'd make a fortune if I get a hold of John's knife collection.
I might give it to you, dude.
Just
Let's flip it for us. What
Start
my
taking
buddy
pictures.
A to Z uses the eBay app, and he knows what he's looking for too. He goes to garage sales and to different closeouts, like when Dillard's, a department store here, is having a closeout. He'll go buy all the women's shoes in a certain make. But what he's doing is he'll be at a garage sale, and he'll be on eBay looking at the closed listings. So he knows right off the bat what the least it sold for was, what the high was, and he's got a little app that kind of helps him make those buying decisions. But those are things
I
that
got the
he
same
loves.
thing.
He loves the whole pickers concept of going out finding that buried treasure, right? So he enjoys it as a hobby, and he makes damn good money off women's clothes, off Legos, off old toys, and there are a couple of other things he keys in on, instruments. He's made, I know on one bagpipe sale, he made over 4K.
Well, that was today when me and Lo had to go run to the grocery store because we didn't have any drinks in the house, and so we ran to the grocery store and we were like, well, since it was still early enough, we was like, run to Goodwill. So we went to Goodwill and we went in there and I bought 3 pair of Ariat fire resistant jeans for $15. And those pants sell for about $100 a pair. And I'll be able to sell them on eBay probably for $100 to $125 for $15 spent. Just because I know Ariat, which all three of y'all probably know, Ariat is a really good brand. They make really good clothes, and then there's their fire resistant line on top of it. And so, which is expensive. Well, most people know that work in that type of field. Like I have to wear fire resistant clothing to work, and fire resistant clothing costs a lot more than regular clothing because it's made with aramid fibers versus regular flammable shit. And I mean it's just something that's simple. I knew 2 things is all I needed to know that was a good deal. I knew Ariat was good, and I knew fire resistant was expensive.
You didn't have to look at that. Take care, Cue Ball.
Nope. And I didn't, it simply was the fact that, knowing that, I know that I can make money off of it. Because somebody like me who has to wear that to work has to, I don't have to buy it. Luckily, my work provides it for me. But I have had jobs where I had to buy it. I would look somewhere, and I have in the past when I had to buy that shit, because when you walk into the local store here,
ratio, Cue Ball.
It's $100 for a pair of pants. You're fucking Kyle is always messing me up with the shit he says.
That's funny shit. I had to put it up there.
But when you have to go pay $75 or $100 for a pair of pants, you're going to tear up. You're going to start looking for a cheaper route. And I mean, like I said, that.
What's the process like, Dark Gravity, with setting up like an eBay account? That's something I've never done.
It's super simple. I mean, you go on there, you have to. Most people who shop on, I set up my basic account so many years ago. I don't remember what that was like. And so when I set up to be able to sell, all it was I had to put my real name in, and I had to put my address in, and then I had to link my bank to it. And the reason I had to link my bank to it was because that's how I get paid.
Thank you, ENG.
When I sell something, you're
the man.
Well, since I'm new to selling, I don't get paid immediately because you have to develop a reputation of, reliability and honesty with eBay before you start getting paid immediately. But I sell something, and then after a couple of weeks, they deposit the money in my checking account.
So, like, if you sell something initially, so if you just set it up, you have to wait for like the person to get the item and let eBay know that they got the item, and then they make sure all is good, and then they'll pay you.
I'll tell you, G-Ball, when we close our Go ahead, bud. No, I was
going to say, it even tells you that. when you sell something, like the first thing I ever sold on eBay was a knife, and it said, you know, it was a $300 knife, and it said you'll get paid on X. I don't remember what day it was, but it said I'd get paid on such and such day. Because they got to make, being a new seller, they got to make sure that there's no problems with the transaction. And when that day came, it deposited in my account. And it was, I want to say it's roughly 8 or 9, it's like 10 business days, so it's roughly about 2 weeks. You know, it's to give it time to get there and to make sure
They don't file a claim.
they don't file a claim that I sent them something that wasn't as described or counterfeit or something of that. You know, I mean, it's just to make sure you're legit, that you're not just getting on there trying to scam. Because a lot of folks will do that. You know, I was talking about that T-shirt that I had. I mean, you'll have that with some new set, and a new seller will show up, and it's all of a sudden he's got, you know, a really rare vintage T-shirt that's worth thousands of dollars, and they've never sold anything on eBay, and all of a sudden they're selling $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 T-shirt. And so a lot of people are very suspect of that because it's, you know, but a lot of times with what happens there is that somebody realizes they've got a $5,000 fucking T-shirt and they decide they're going to sell it on eBay. You know, it's because, I mean, if I had one, that's what I would do.
You can sell anything on eBay. When we closed the cabinet shop in 2004 or 5, I forget when, we had a bunch of equipment. We had a bunch of display cabinets. We had a bunch of MTI Whirlpool tubs that we built closures for, just a bunch of random shit. And so the owner wanted me to liquidate that stuff on eBay. So I set up an eBay account, and we were listing table saws, fucking 36-inch planers, $100,000 wall of display cabinets, crazy stuff. But over the course of about 6 months, we sold everything. I had a family come down from Canada, drive from Canada in a U-Haul, 36-foot U-Haul, to pick up these tubs, these MTI tubs. They came back 2 weeks later to pick up this cabinet display that was like, they measured it when they were there. So most of the stuff I shipped out, but after doing it for a couple of months and having a good rating, if I'm not mistaken, Dark Gravity, our cash would get deposited quicker. It got to be to a point to where it was almost instantaneous. But we did, I want to say, because you can watch it in your seller account, G-Bizzle, you can see what you're accumulating, what you're accruing, and you've got all of that in the platform. I think we sold over $280,000 worth of stuff in about 6 months. Yeah, on eBay. And I think that's paying a percentage. That's what we took.
And Joe's right. You do have to be careful selling on eBay. And that's why you have to pick and choose which app you sell stuff through. Because there's different selling resources. There's eBay I primarily focus on knives because the other ones don't allow you to sell knives where eBay does. And so you really have to focus on what you're selling and who you're selling it through. I prefer to sell clothes through Depop. And it's because of the type of clothes that I'm selling. Now, I found some designer stuff that I've actually given to my wife, you know, some high-end designer stuff like Christian Dior and Armani and Gucci and stuff like that. Those, and actually, so far, my wife kept all of that. But when you're flipping clothes on eBay, you have to be really careful because people on eBay are a different type of clientele than what's on Depop or Poshmark. or the Real Real or Mercari. I don't know a lot about Mercari, and what, as somebody who tried to use Mercari as a customer, I didn't like it. Poshmark and Real Real is where you would sell more of your designer stuff. Not that you can't sell other regular clothing on there also, but I would say like Lululemon and Ralph Lauren and Up is what I would use Poshmark for. Depop, it is understood that your clothes, like if I put that it's distressed and you try to file a complaint on me that there's holes in the clothing, Depop's going to tell you to be fixed because I put in the listing that the clothing is distressed. Well, if you put something on eBay and put it as distressed, eBay and they file a complaint that your clothing has holes in it, eBay is going to go with the customer, and you're going to lose that sale, and it's going to count against you.
That's what
Because
Blade was just
eBay,
saying.
yeah, eBay wants you to sell basically new old stock, or almost like it's brand new with tags type deal, or new without tags. Like you just bought it yesterday, you took the tags off, and you decided you didn't fucking like it, so now you're selling it. That's what eBay wants you to sell. Everything to be perfect. But Depop, if you go on Depop, you'll find that a lot of the stuff on there is used work clothes, old T-shirts, actually vintage stuff. And so the clientele on Depop is more accepting of the reality of what they're purchasing. So you don't have to worry about a lot of that stuff. They know what they're getting. When you say distressed, they know there's going to be stains, there's going to be holes, there's going to be frayed edges, there's going to be things of that nature. Where, like I said, on eBay, but same thing, eBay is where you got to go to sell electronics. eBay is where you got to go to sell anything other than, because all the other ones I mentioned, I don't know with Mercari, I don't know what all you can sell on there. But I know with, Poshmark, Depop, and Real Real, all you can sell is clothing, shoes, things of that nature, belts, purses. And it's crazy. One of the guys that I talked to that I've kind of become friends with, that's another reseller. This guy's like 20 years old, going to college over at University of Alabama, Huntsville, and he does it as a side hustle because he waits tables too, but he does it as a side hustle. He makes money selling fucking purses.
Yeah.
20 years old, walking out of a damn bookstore with a damn bucket full of purses. And it's the niche that he fell into. Is he has found success in selling purses.
The point is, there's so many ways to do it, right? You just got to get creative. And my job could be gone tomorrow. So I'm always looking for side gigs, side hustles, ways to kind of be a consultant, to go independent as much as I can. But guys, we're 30 minutes away from Stevie and them starting, and I've got to go to Taco Bell and get Mexican pizzas.
Real quick, I want to show you guys something. This was a secret project. Do you know Apex Alchemy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So he hit me up a couple weeks ago. He has a friend that's a newer knife maker, does fixed blades, and he wanted to make Sawtooth Dave, a couple knives. Because Dave has done so much for him, giving him deals. And he knew he wanted to make him a fixed blade version of the Sawtooth.
Oh my gosh.
And like I said, this guy had never done like a recurve. He's got some other knives that he's done. PTSD Blade Works. It's precision. Hold on. Precision Tempered Steel Designs is his company name on Instagram. But he'd never done, like I said, a recurve or a compound grind or anything like that. But I thought he did a pretty good job. And these were a secret, but the guy posted it and tagged Dave, so the secret must be out now.
That's
And
awesome. They look just like Sawtooths, the blade
yeah,
guy.
and he didn't want to call him Sawtooth, so I got to name him. He needed help naming him, and I came up with I was like, just call it the DA, for Dave's initials. That's a Strider thing. Strider uses initials for their models, and I hope that Dave already has the package. I hope the surprise wasn't ruined. So hopefully these are older and Dave will get to talk about these on Sunday. But
I'll be
just
looking forward
cool.
to it. Very
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, Dave
Yeah.
Sundays,
Hey, John,
I gotta watch him. Yep.
John, before we stop, I want to make sure Joe sees what I posted up there. For Joe Isabella,
Let me see.
Depop also does cosplay stuff. So if you're making shit for cosplay, they definitely look into it. I don't know a lot in depth of it, but I know they cover. I know cosplay is one of the things that they have on that
Almost every
site.
Friday night. That's pretty cool. I didn't even know that. So you were talking about this comment right here, Dark Gravity?
Yeah, well, if you go read up a couple of comments, he said he had the perfect racket for him. He was
Oh
making
yeah.
detailed, accurate movie and game props, costume pieces, etc., and was making a killing. But then BS started, and he's talking about where it, and I told him that sucks. That he could look into deep if he enjoyed it. He could look into Depop because Depop has cosplay on there.
Gotcha.
Where they sell cosplay type stuff. I don't know if they get into like props and things of that nature. Like I said, I don't know in depth, but I know when I list something on there that cosplay and different things of that nature are some of the things that you can choose as to what you're selling, what it's for. And so that may be something for him to look into.
So my question is, if you as a seller, right, go to sell whatever it is on eBay, you sell a shirt, right? If eBay assumes the buyer is always right, doesn't that allow the buyer to then just at any point in time, like if I buy a shirt off you, even though it's 100% good to go, I can just file a claim saying this shit isn't right, keep it, and then get the money back? Is that what the idea is there? In some cases, it's kind of scary.
There are people that try to do that. They're like, okay, the shirt that I sent out today, or I've got packaged up to send out, I'm basically putting faith in the guy because I know the shirt is real. I know that it's 100% intact. There's no damage. It's just faded because it's old. And when I send it, and it's basically the way it works with it is I am putting faith in him that he's not going to lie. The thing is if he files a complaint, he has to prove it, that I was deceptive or something of that nature. And that's where there's an appeal process. He has to be able to show evidence and things of that nature. And that's where I was saying with eBay, you have to be really careful with what you're selling, because the mentality of eBay shoppers is different than the mentality of Depop shoppers, is different than the mentality of somebody shopping somewhere else. When you walk into a store, you're expecting certain things in that store, and that's kind of the thing that you as the seller have to think about. And of course, eBay being the biggest one, it also has the most scammers on it. And so that's probably where Joe got hung up is, the community that he was dealing in, just like what we were talking about earlier with, counterfeit knives, or clones or whatever you want to call them. There is a huge market in that community to take advantage of it. There's a huge monetary drive to be crooked in that environment. I hate to say, and
Right.
because when you take what Joe did, he put hours and hours of work and materials into making something. It could be hundreds or thousands of dollars worth of work, and that person knows that they got hundreds or thousands of dollars worth of stuff, and then it makes it very easy, or very tempting. Um, oh, and that's I see what Joe said there, where he was making stuff based off pictures and things of that nature. And the thing about art is my art in my mind is never the same as the art in your mind, and that's where I think you could run into problems. I would just make shit and post it up for sale, but that's anyway. I guess we're getting dragging out John's show, and I know he got to go to Taco Bell and take a shit.
I don't have to take a shit, but I do got to go to Taco Bell. Like ENG said, he's always right. Last call for Mexican pizzas. Guys, it's been a blast. I always love these things. Friday nights are my favorite nights. I appreciate every one of the channel members. I appreciate all of you that come and hang out with me. I appreciate Dark Gravity, G Bizzle, Scotch and Things. Guys, please look out for the guy or gal to your left. Look out for the guy or gal to your right. Look out for each other. Move forward with love in your heart. Choose debate, not hate. I love you all. Guys, I appreciate y'all. Peace.